Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Talladega, home of the big one, of course. And we are here for the 11th round of the ANZCAR Abruzzi Cup. Of course, Talladega is not everybody's favourite track. It's a bit of a dice roll sometimes. But joining me up in the booth tonight is Mr. Jonathan Hancock. How are you going, Jono?
I'm doing well, Carl. How are you?
I am not too bad, thank you. Not too bad. And of course, we have JP on the cameras as normal. So tonight we are looking at well, it's going to be an interesting race for sure. We've got a relatively warm track at the moment, and that's going to affect qualifying slightly, of course. But qualifying is not always the most important part here at Talladega.
No, it's just as long as you got someone out there to draft with, and you got to stay within the pack. And the drafting is very important here, but it's also very important to have a teammate, which we will probably see play into this later on in the race.
Absolutely. It's a big gain you get with drafting. You're looking at about 20, 30 kilometers per hour extra speed in the pack. Out on your own there, you're doing around about 280 to 290 kilometers per hour. Once you get in the pack, you're looking at 300 plus. And it does make a big difference out there for sure. Just before we continue, though, I'm just going to go quickly over the championship standings as they stand before tonight's race. So in first place, we have Michael Skurlock, who's been having a fantastic season, very consistent. Second place is Josh Mickelmore, again, a very consistent season for him. Third place, Danny G. Not had any wins, but they've been very, very consistent in the top 10, along with Edward Foster in P4. P5, we have Matt Danson, who's had a fair few wins, but just needs a little bit more to get the championship up there. Behind him is James Roby, who's had a great start to the season. Jason Martin sits in 7th with Chris Purnell in 8th. 9th place is Matthew Cluett, who's having another good season and is hoping to get into the chase. And then in 10th place, we have Brett Gerritz, who's had a good sort of... Well, he came in a little bit last year, but good debut season, full season run for him in the top 10 there. So... yeah, championship is starting to sort of heat up a little bit. It's quite close between the top drivers. From it's a 360 points for P1 and then 247 for P10. So there's a bit of a gap forming, and of course there are quite a lot of points still at stake this season.
Yeah, we're not that far through the championship, probably about a quarter way, so we got a long season ahead of us yet. So a lot of chopping and changing will happen between now and there.
We do indeed, yes. It's of course because we are running the full season this year, which is great fun. It's going to be a long old one, and we were expecting that from the start. But it really has. It's going to make for a very interesting outcome all through this season, of course. And of course, tonight we are of course celebrating the ANZAC area. ANZCAR is celebrating ANZAC Day in a couple of days' time, as you saw in the pre-race intro. So we are looking forward to that, and Talladega's become sort of a traditional sort of ANZAC race for us.
Yeah, I'm surprised to not see some guys taking their time and doing a Anzac-inspired livery here tonight.
Yeah, there's not many out there, but I think it's been one of those sort of years where everybody's been a bit sort of forgotten what day it is. It's pretty tricky sometimes. While we're all under quarantine and stuff, it's easy to forget whereabouts you are. Of course, we're next week we're at Dover, which is a completely different beast to Talladega, of course. Having such a big change from a super speedway with restrictor plates going to a short oval like Dover is well, it's a big step, isn't it?
Yeah, Dover is one of those, we'll call it a more painful track. I'm not a short circuit guy, so for me it's a more painful track. Other guys love short circuit compared to the super speedway stuff, so it just depends on what type of driver you are. But it's a very different type of situation for driving.
Yeah. Absolutely, and it's a different way of looking after the car, of course. Here on Talladega, it's more of a fuel race than a tyre race, and when you get to Dover, it's more of a tyre race than a fuel race, of course. It's interesting to see, and then we're up in Martinsville after that, which is a track that's not favoured by many drivers.
No, it's very slow. A lot of pain. We'll call it. It's painful again. We'll call it a short circuit. So yeah, all those short circuits are painful for most
Yeah,
drivers anyway.
they can be very difficult. We of course we had the Thunder race on Thursday at brain is clicking out there. Charlottesville. Uh,
Yep.
okay, so practice is over. So we're just going to go into a minute silence here, just to respect all of the all of the Anzacs that have put their life on the line and have done so well for us over the time. So as the drivers head out on the track, we're just going to quickly go into this, and we'll actually be doing a full minute silence on the actual practice before the race start. So we'll wait for that one, I think. But the drivers are going out there at the moment, and just saw. I think it was Josh Micklemore just losing it on the exit of the just coming out the pits. He managed to spin it around.
Yeah, that's never how you want to start your qualifying, but they do get 2 laps, so he'll have another shot at it.
And of course, the big thing about one of these super speedways is the second lap is always your fastest lap.
Yeah, definitely. You want to use a high line the first lap, the warm up lap, and then the first lap to try and build that speed up and slowly creep down during that first lap, and then use all the track on your second lap to put the best time you possibly can down.
Yeah, and you've got to play a bit of a wall of death, haven't you, up against the barriers. In the intro package we saw, I was doing a few laps, and you've got to keep so close to the barrier, you're almost rubbing it, and it is just such a minute difference between making a good run and having a little scrape on that barrier. And of course, in iRacing, is if you do make a little scratch on the barrier, your lap's going to get deleted.
Yeah, the smallest bumps here will just get you a time deleted. Unfortunately, it can be annoying sometimes because the minutest amounts all over.
Yeah, it can really, really bother you sometimes. So we're just with Joshua Carroll Walden at the moment on his fast lap, who's been having a relatively good season so far, and of course had started out with a win at Daytona, of course. So he's going to want to try and repeat the super speedway success that he had there. And as times start rolling in, we've got Mick Wilson currently on pole, but these are going to change quite quickly as these guys do their laps and start getting up those good times.
Yeah, it always changes around as the time goes on, and it'll be interesting to see. I was talking to some of the drivers earlier, and like we talked about, it's just a roll of the dice here tonight on who's going to win. Could be a Matt Danson drive away again, or it could be anything because being in those tight packs, fighting continuously, someone rubs someone, it's the big one at Talladega, and it's all over for anyone, even the fastest guys out there.
Yeah, it is easy to happen. Just looking through Roger Clark at the moment, he's just at a blistering first lap time. Um, quite a bit faster than anyone else. We'll see how that follows for his second lap. At the moment, Bradley Kemp's sitting up there on the top, but Roger Clark is coming up to cross the line now. And he has managed to get there on pole with a 50.57, which is actually identical to James Roby. There is there is 0.001 of a second between him and James Roby at the moment. Jason Hartigan has also got up there as well. Sorry, Jason Hartigan. Sorry, I was looking at the wrong times there. Jason Hartigan there set the fastest time. Absolutely brilliant lap for him there. Just nothing between the two drivers. And Danny G's actually set an identical time to James Roby because he was obviously just a little bit behind. He's actually got himself in third place. There's blistering laps out there though.
Yeah, some surprisingly slow laps out there by Edward Foster and Jason Martin. Some of those guys I would have expected to be higher up, but unfortunately haven't been able to qualify higher up.
Yeah, you do have to sometimes wonder if they might do a little bit of a lift just to try and qualify a little bit further back, because obviously sometimes it's better to start at the back of the pack. You sometimes see people just doing that little bit of lift, but yeah, a bit of a quite a low time for Foster there, which is unusual. We usually see him quite high up in that sort of top 10 area. Just looking through the pack as well, we got a couple of drivers just sitting and waiting to go, just hoping for a cloud to come over and give them a little bit of extra time. Um, and I'm pretty sure that's we've got Matthew Cloyt at the moment going around for his second lap, I think. So we'll see how he does it on this one. And he's actually running an ANZCAR livery as well, which is nice to see.
Yeah, it's a
Um,
very nice one at that too.
yeah, a little bit different from the normal MFR paint job, so throws us out a little bit. And that has not improved his position, sadly. He's still quite far down the order, down in 26th place. But a nice livery, at least. Nice to see. But it does look like we've got. Just trying to see who we've got going out at the moment. Michael Latter is going out at the moment. So I've got Michael Latter out there, just going out there in the Wheeler Bin Racing team. And of course, you're just going to want to try and get that sort of second lap in and do well. And of course, sometimes waiting a little bit further and just giving yourself a little bit of time can make a big difference for these for qualifying, because obviously if you get lucky with a cloud, sometimes it can give you an extra little bit of grip, a little bit of extra speed, and really make a difference for you in the race.
Yeah, those shadows on the track can make a big difference. You try to pick a object that's stationary on the side of the track if you're at a track where you've got a lift, so then you're not relying on shadows, because they do move as the race progresses.
Yes, the thing about dynamic weather is it does move around a bit, and it's not like the old days back when shadows used to just stay in the same place for you. You can't rely on them that much anymore.
No, that used to be the good old days where you could just pick a shadow and lift there, but now it's all dynamic, as you said, as we see the track go a little darker.
Yeah, there's a cloud coming over the back stretch at the moment and on the back corners as well, so that could help a little bit. Just cools it off a little bit. Michael Latter going across the line and not setting a time. So I must have made a mistake or something there, because it's not coming up on my timing boards.
No, he didn't set a time.
No,
Well, it must have been his warm-up lap that it didn't set a time, but obviously he made a mistake somewhere along the line.
yeah, I didn't notice where he made the mistake. I didn't catch it when I was driving round, but obviously somewhere out there. And I think a few drivers are just going to be sitting in the pits and just waiting out. They might go out and actually set a time, but I think a few of these drivers are looking to start at the back of the grid, trying to just keep out the way of problems. Because of course, when you're at a super speedway, the best place to be is first, obviously, because you're not going to get involved in an accident there. But sometimes at the back of the grid, you're better off because you don't have those cars. You got a bit of a warning if there is an accident. Of course, that can also, well, it can be a bit of a bit of a bit of a curse sometimes as well. It doesn't always work out, but yeah, it definitely definitely a few people have chosen not to go out. So what we'll do is, I think we've just finished, so we'll head to our race server. While we do that, we'll be popping up the highlights from our last race at sorry, my brain is absolutely going dead. I do forgive me. Richmond, thank you, lovely, thank you, JP. Yes, sorry, my brain's a bit dead tonight. I'm having one of those days. So we'll see the race highlights from Richmond, and we'll be back with you very shortly. lap, which is one of the fastest laps out there. The only sort of guys faster are James Roby, who was a 22.6, who's on much fresher tyres. So definitely pushing it. And see right now, Micklemore has got Danson in front of him, and that's got to be a bit of pill to swallow.
Yeah, as we bring you the white flag presented to you by Hybrid Racing Simulation, as Matt Danson comes under to take the checkered flag.
So
it's all over.
Danson will have done it. So yeah,
by 10 seconds.
Yeah, it's a bit of a dominant one there for Danson. He did very well in that one, and takes the flag as we see Cluett just behind him, a lap down, just giving the car a bit of a wiggle as well as it goes around there. Welcome back, everybody. So we are back for Talladega, of course, and we're back on the race server. So the drivers are going to be popping in for the minute silence, as I say. Track conditions haven't changed really from what we were looking at before. I think there's a slight difference in the wind direction, but nothing too much interesting in that respect. But what we've got to really talk about is Jason Hartigan getting on pole. He's been having a fantastic season for his rookie year.
Yeah, he's been having a really good season. He's been doing, well, not just here in Cup, but also in Xfinity and the truck series that they run here at ANZCAR.
Yeah, he's been a bit of a force in the we say lower series, but they're more the feeder series for the Cup, of course. And he's been having a great season, and it's not a matter of when, but if. Sorry, it's not a matter of if, but when he gets a win in the Cup Series. Of course, he's not a true rookie because he did race a couple of times last year, but this is his first full season for the Cup, and he's been doing bloody well, as I said.
Yeah, he's been doing really well. Last year and won his race on debut, and has now not really slowed down since.
No, he's got some serious speed, and it's just that little bit of seasoning, just that little bit of time, just getting used to things. Last time out, of course, he overdid his tyres at Richmond and just sort of lost a little bit there. And it's those little mistakes that are costing him, but he has got the speed where it's needed. And this could be the race where he gets where he gets it done, because super speedways can be one of those races where good things happen, and obviously being in a very strong team as well in JP Simshed, he's got a lot of drivers around him.
Yeah, he's got a lot of teammates as we've seen out there at the moment, bump drafting with Edward Foster, and as you were saying, he's currently sitting first in the Xfinity series with only one round left to go.
Yeah, and you know, he's been doing great in that. And of course, if you are in New Zealand and you want to race, the Xfinity is perfect for you. It's set for New Zealand time. We've been having not a great turnout for the races, around about 12 to 15 drivers most races, which isn't bad, but we would love to see some more. So if you are a Kiwi and looking to drive, then come join us for Xfinity, because it's a great way of learning, and it's a good feeder series to get yourself into the Cup Series and a bit higher up as well. So the drivers are all going to start coming in now for that 1 minute of silence, as we say. And yeah, so and Daniel Stevens is going to line up with his Anzac livery. So a great bit of show there. So we'll go for our minute silence, remembering all of the Anzacs pivot for us. Back, and thank you to all who have served and currently serving in the forces. If you are serving, we thank you for your service. Of course, the Australian and New Zealand regiments and some of the islands fought from way back in the Boer War. South Australia predominantly, we've got our parade ground in the city where the first sort of Australian soldiers set off for the Boer War back in 1901. And then, of course, kept fighting on, fighting through the First World War, Second World War, the Malaya Crisis, of course, where the Royal Australian Air Force were busy flying the Lincoln bomber to aid in that particular circumstance. And, of course, one of the things most people forget about, things like Vietnam, where the Australian and New Zealand forces served, along with the great Maori and Aboriginal soldiers who fought in the First and Second World War. We do appreciate all that you have done, and thank you very much. And we're going to start our parade lap now, getting ready, our warm-up lap, sorry. So, Jono, if you want to start going through the qualifying positions.
Yep, so we've got Jason in first, James Roby in second, Penny G in third.
Fourth place we have Barry Neal, with fifth place Joshua Carroll-Walden. Sixth is Bradley Allison with Brian Richmond in seventh. Eighth, Stephen Williams with Norman Clark in 9. Good job for Norman there. Roger Clark, his son, in 10th with Bradley Kemp 11th. Daniel Stevens 12th with Raymond Yeager 13th. Rob Fletcher 14th with Josh Micklemore 15th. 16th we have Lindsay Hobbs with 17th Jason Martin. 18th is Michael Skurlock with 18th is Mick Wilson with 19th Michael Skurlock. 20th is Phil Otto with Mark Johansson in 21st. 22nd is Cher Thompson with Tristan Koch 23rd. 24th Moko Dornak with Edward Foster in 25th. 26th Matthew Clurt with Matt Hunter next to him 27th. 28th is Matt Dance and Hamish Gallagher 29th. 30th is Dave Douglas, Riley Curtis 31st. Michael Ladderer and Stephen Black in 33rd, rounding us out. So we're going to go around and get ready for this one. So we'll be dropping out, and we'll give you the joy of the sound of these engines as they drop it out on the first lap. The pace car will be coming in relatively soon. It is quite a long lap here of 2.6 miles, of course. And as we saw in the intro video, it can be quite tricky sometimes, because it is a little bit, the start finish is a little bit further away than most people sort of are used to as well. But Jason Hardigan is going to lead away. The pace car comes in, so I'm going to shut up. Enjoy the start of this race.
just
and
watching
as
that
we come
first
across,
lap.
sorry, Johnny.
I was just going to say, watching that first lap there, you'll see how large the banking here is at Talladega. It's something that you don't really notice until you do see it, and the cars are right up there against the wall, and the camera's a bit further out for us.
Yeah, you don't appreciate the banking of this track. It's a shame the Formula One season hasn't started, because the new banking at in Holland, of course, it's a huge amount of banking, and when you look at it on TV, it doesn't look that steep. But boy, if you try and walk up one of these circuits, it's quite a hike. Just at the start of that race, though, we did see Josh Mickelmore and Jason Martin actually drop back a bit, and they've dropped quite a bit back from the actual pack, back past Stephen.
As we got our first wreck here, Carl.
Mick Wilson, and we've made green, so that is something for sure. We've actually made green. He's spun it around and managed to get it back in the right direction. But it looks like he actually went into one of the other drivers there. Missed out. It looks like the number one of Phil Otto got very unlucky there. It was actually one of the other drivers just caught him on the back there and actually spun him around. So an unfortunate one for him. I think it was just having a look at the replay now, just trying to figure out what happened there. Yeah, it looks like Cher Thompson just got a bit too much draft, didn't realise how much closing speed they're getting, and spun him around, and that's gone straight into Phil Otto. Caused some serious damage, but we have remained green. So caution hasn't come out, so it wasn't the big one, but it was certainly a big enough one to cause some issues. Real shame there for Phil Otto. Doesn't look like they got too much damage on the car, though. Was just having a bit of a look through the field, and just wanted to make a mention for Stephen Black as well. Fantastic livery on their car, beautiful ANZAC livery on that car as well. We were talking before about ANZAC liveried cars, and yeah, absolutely fantastic one on that vehicle too. So Jason Hartigan is still in the lead.
Yeah, James Roby also has a nice one on here tonight. And Matt Danson was quite lucky not to get tangled up in that wreck there, as he is sitting further back here to start off the race.
Yeah, it's so easy to get tangled up in somebody else's mess, as we saw Phil Otto there just getting really unlucky. Couldn't do anything there in that situation, but as I said, it looks like there's not too much damage to Phil's car, which is quite lucky. The front of the car is looking pretty much pristine considering the whack it had, and Mick Wilson's not looking too bad either. There's not much crumble on the front of those cars, so they got very lucky there, as James Robbie does take the lead.
Yeah, just pushing that, getting pushing the high line there, being able to come down in front of Jason now and get push from Jason.
Yeah, good job there. And guy that's on the move, we've got Stephen Williams and Roger Clark, both climbing their way up there, just getting some good positions gained. The thing is, though, you don't really want to be leading at this stage of the race, because when you're leading, of course, you're punching a big hole through the air for everybody behind you, and you're using up more fuel. But then, of course, the trouble you have when you're sitting behind somebody, and we did see this at Daytona, is you're going to get a lot more heat in the car. So it's not too bad when you're sitting second and third, but when you're sitting a little bit further down the line in sort of 5th, 6th and 7th, sort of that area in that sort of train of cars, the heat from every other car gets into your radiator, and it does get very hot very quickly, of course.
Yeah, you'll see a lot of wiggling of these cars throughout the lap. Jace is in a very lucky position there to be able to be in second, and Benny G now in third there, that they can move a bit more freely compared to these cars that are side by side or running 3 wide.
Yeah, they're currently running wide. It looks like the bottom line is working better. Just at the back of the pack, we've got Josh Mickelmore and Jason Martin just catching up to Hamish Gallagher now and just getting onto the back of the pack it is. So they've fallen back, tactical decision there, obviously. Just wanting to be a bit further back out of the main action, out of the danger zone, of course, because pack racing is not the easiest thing to do, and it's one of those things that again, it looks easy on camera and it doesn't look too difficult, but when you try racing in a pack like this, the car is so incredibly hard to control.
Yeah, it is, especially with all the dirty air and aero wash that you get in these cars. All that side-by-side drafting can upset the car very, very easily, and you end up in someone else or spinning it, losing it yourself. There's a lot of different things that go into driving these cars.
There is, and it's also a lot of, it's very taxing as well on your mental capacity, because you're running side by side, so you're constantly having to check that driver next to you and just make sure you don't run into them, make sure you don't tap them, because it's so easy to do when you're racing side by side like this. Got a bit of bump drafting going on just with Stephen Williams and Roger Clark there, so yeah, pushing M4s a little bit. Now making the jump to try and get to the front of the pack. But James Rowley is doing a great job out there at the moment.
Yeah, you've got to be very careful with the bump drafting too, and getting too close while drafting. Because you can hit someone spinning or wreck yourself. You run into the back of someone and bend the front of your nose up. Speed, just because that front there that we're talking about, you get too close up behind someone, if it gets too long, you'll end up putting the oil and water through the roof.
Yeah, I think it was actually Braden Bullius back in the Daytona race. He was bump drafting with Matt Danson, and he ended up blowing his engine relatively early in the race, just because he was just doing a bit too much bump drafting there, and it can easily happen. You've got to keep an eye on the temperature of these cars.
Yeah, you've got to be actively checking.
As we're going 4 wide down the back straight at the moment. Just in the midfield, Rob Fletcher, a few cars there as we go up high there. Pretty risky stuff there. Shea Thompson there just getting right on the outside of the sort of 4 wide cars we had on the back straight there.
Yeah, pretty scary stuff when you're running 4 wide, even though it looks very wide out here. When you've got 4 cars side by side, it's not very fun. You move too much into someone.
It's not. Roger Clark, we're running 3 wide through the first corner, and it's getting very, very risky out there as Stephen Williams gets a little bit loose from that, has gone up a bit high, and that's let Roger Clark through. Matt Danson through, he's running the black car today, just completely throws me out, changing his livery. I always shake my fist at him for that one. But he's managed to get through there. There was very, very almost an instant there. Those guys were running very loose there. Those cars did not look fun to drive.
Yeah, it's interesting there. Matt pushing his way through the pack as he always does and getting up there. But he pushed the drafting partner away as he was doing that, and you can see how far back Stevens has fallen because of that now, and it's just given that inside line a lot better run at the moment because they're not all backing up onto each other in the outside line there.
No, and Mick Wilson just going a lap down now, just staying up high, just sort of keeping out the way, just making sure not to get in the way of everybody. Good job from him. But he's going to be able to slide down into this pack now. Just keep running. But yeah, it's so you can lose positions so quickly in these packs. It's just such a strange thing. There's not much you can do when things don't go your way. But Matt Danson's managed to get from 28th to 6th in this short time. In 13 laps, he's done it, which is just a testament to his skill of racing through the pack. Very, very good at it. Another driver that's doing well is Edward Foster down in 13th place. He started 25th and he's managed to work his way up to 13th now. So they're all starting to work their way up, starting to move their positions and get into a bit more of a comfortable position now.
Yeah, it's a testament to the drivers that we do have here and the skill level of drivers and quality over quantity here at ANZCAR.
And a big moment there as Barry Neal goes sideways. He just gets caught, goes sideways, manages to keep the car somehow. Foster just getting into the side of him there. Maybe Neil just came down a little bit, just going to have a little bit of a look back at that one. But just went into the side of Foster. Foster running up a little bit high. Spins Neil around slightly. But then, luckily, is in the position where he can actually put Neil back in the right direction. So, very, very good car control there from Neil. And a big crash at the front. James Robbie's gone round. And that's a big one. We're in for the big one. A lot of drivers involved in that one. And we'll go back and have a look at that, see what actually happened. Roby's gone up to cover Matt Danson. Danson's gone up high, and then Jason Hartigan's come through, and he's ping-ponged himself between... Norman Clark, ping-ponged himself a little bit. And one of the other Simshed drivers, I think it was, just having a look at that one. And Ed Foster... Quite a few drivers getting involved in that one. So it looks like Joshua Carroll Walden is the one that got sort of involved in that bit. He sort of he tried to go for the middle to pass, and ended up getting ping-ponged a little bit, I think. So just trying to have a look to see exactly what happened there. It's sometimes tricky to get all of that there. Roger Clark, it was Roger Clark, yeah. And quite a few drivers getting involved in that one. Edward Foster going up high, getting caught up in that, but it looks like he's managed to get away relatively clean. But pretty much half a field caught up in that incident. A lot of cars are going to be needing a bit of service now.
Yeah, we still see cars flying around out the back there.
Yeah, it's really helped Matt Danson out. He's now sitting in third place as we sit. Jason Hardigan as well. Another guy that's going to be quite useful for is Danny G. He's just been quietly sitting there for Mitch Motorsport, and that's going to help him out. So everybody's coming for the pits now, and they're going to start sort of getting their cars fixed up. A guy that also gets helped out quite a lot by this is Mick Wilson, of course. Being a lap down, he'll be able to get that lap back now. So he should be running a little bit further up. Danny G gets a fantastic stop there, gets out into the lead.
Edward Foster got a really good one too. He jumped Matt Danson.
Yeah, they've done some brilliant stops there. I wonder if they just took a couple of wheels, if they didn't take full wheels in that service. Unfortunately, my replay cuts out a little bit, so I couldn't see exactly what happened with Danny G. So yeah, it looks like it was only the right side wheels for Foster as well. So they've done the old two-wheel trick just to jump themselves ahead of everybody. Foster getting very lucky in that incident, not to have too much damage. So it was an 8.6 second pit stop for Danny G and a 10.8 for Jason Hartigan. You can really see the stop times there. Danson had a 14.3, a bit of a horror stop for him, and has dropped him down to 7th. But those guys are now on full fresh tyres, but is that going to be enough of the benefit to help them? From what we could see in testing and driving around a bit earlier on, the inside tyres weren't taking too much stress, it was just those outside tyres. So they should be okay. We could be in for some interesting racing now, and that's also going to change the strategy a bit.
Yeah, now drivers have to actively change their strategies because of other drivers have to cover them.
And of course, it's not far enough in the race really, unless we get other cautions, that you can make it all the way on just one or two more stops. They're still going to need to make another couple of stops. They're going to have to make at least 3 more stops by my calculations. So it'll be interesting to see what people do from here now as well. Some people may try and fuel save to only do 2 stops.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if we see drivers trying to fuel save or if they just go out after it and hope for the best. It depends also on if we get any more cautions.
Well, that is the big thing at Talladega, is cautions are very much there's something that's going to happen quite routinely, you usually say. But then we expected pretty much a caution fest at Richmond and end up going green for the whole race. Um, so it's not impossible that we could have a green for the rest of this session. So we'll have to see how this goes.
Yeah, anything is possible, but as we know, car cautions breed caution, so we'll see what happens here.
They do, and of course, everybody that's changed the outside tyres now, they have a very different feel to the car, of course, because when you just change one set of tyres, you've got those tyres that are slightly worn, that are a little bit more up to pressure and things like that. And then, of course, you're going on to tyres that are, well, that are cold. And that can sometimes affect the way the car handles. So we could see a couple of people mid-pack possibly having trouble with that. We'll have to see how that goes. And hopefully we don't see another caution. But there is a very strong chance we will.
Yeah, definitely. Only being 17 laps into a 90-lap race here.
Yeah, I know a lot of drivers dread these races, in all honesty, because of the effect of crashes here and the problems of it that can occur. And it is one of those things. As I personally, I love super speedways. I prefer them over a short track, but I'm one of those strange people that enjoys that kind of thing. Masochist sometimes, but it is one of those places where if it does go well, it goes very, very well. But if you have a bad day, it just goes terribly.
Yeah, it's one of those, like you said, show up. It might be a bad day, it might be a good day. You don't get an average day here.
You do not at all. You never know what's going to happen here, and that's the thing. It's very easy for things to go very wrong very quickly, as we saw with Roger Clark and everyone there. And when you do start running free wide, it's very easy to get ping pong between somebody, and you just get caught between the two cars, and you can't do anything. You bounce between the two, and then it goes very wrong very quickly. We saw with Barry Neal as well. He got very lucky with that contact from Foster, where he actually managed to basically bounce back onto the line and carry on going without too much problem.
Yeah, the quiet note, Matt Danson went back into the pits there for some reason.
Right.
Getting up the speed. I don't know what's going on there.
We'll have to keep an eye on that one. Maybe he's just trying to drop to the back of the pack, get a little bit of extra fuel, and get a little bit of a few extra bits in there.
As we will see him go green this time by.
Back to green flag racing, and yeah, it's gonna be a big one. How will Danny G's restart go? He's going to be starting on those not so fresh tyres on the inside, so will that affect his restart? Is this going to help Jason Hartigan?
We did see that outside line be strong right at the start and then kind of fall away as it went on, but we'll see how it plays out here.
Yeah, it did start out quite strong and then it fell off quite quickly. The inside line did seem to be the better line, but we'll have to see how it goes here. As is in my contract, once we get back to green, we'll have to say the words to get it back to racing, but we'll have to wait for that as the pace car comes around. As I said, it's a long wait on this track. It's a bit of a strange track, this one, because it's such a long way to the start-finish line from the pit entry. You think it's going to restart, and then it takes a lot longer to go. But the pace car has pulled in, and we'll be going back to green flag soon.
Yeah, something to keep in mind there too as we go to green here. Jason has got two teammates right behind him to push him where Danny G has no one.
And that's going to be a big difference maker. And we should be dropping to green soon. So boogity, 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 we're back to racing. And away Danny G goes. And he gets a fantastic restart there.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic. Just got away. Jason was quite a good one himself. It looks like Josh just didn't get the jump that he wanted there and has fallen a little back.
And a guy that's sort of come up a little bit is Barry Richmond as he comes up right behind Danny G there. Really doing well there, Richmond. Privateer entry. I don't see Richmond this season. Maybe a couple of races as always, but good restart there. He's qualified up in 7th and he's currently running in 2nd, but that outside line is starting to form with a lot of JP Simshed cars, as there is also the 65 of, 66 of Daniel Stevens there for MFR.
Yeah, and that really nice ANZAC livery again.
Yeah, and of course, changing liveries has thrown me out as always. Makes it a bit harder to see which cars are which. Gives me problems anyway. But yeah, fantastic livery. It's almost like a, it's a slightly sort of I don't know. It gives me a slight post-apocalyptic vibe. It's almost like a Mad Max ANZAC livery. I sort of feel like it's quite a cool livery for sure. But Danny G's got a very good lead at the moment.
Yeah, it is a nice paint. I think it's actually poppy fields if you look there, Carl, and the soldiers are standing in the poppy fields with the sunset behind them.
Yeah, when you get very close to it, you need that nice high definition. And somebody's gone off in the background. Nick Wilson's gone round in the background and gone into the barrier. Just see if I can actually figure out what happened. It looks like Raymond Yeager's actually just caught Wilson as they go across the tri-oval. And yep, Yeager's just come down and hit Nick Wilson pretty hard. Nick Wilson's done a fantastic job of keeping it down on the lower half of the track. But big impact from Nick Wilson, and I think he's towed it back to the pits. And unfortunately, I think Mick's out of the race. So
a shame wreck on the front straight with Matt Danson. He got into the outside wall and has cleaned up a few cars out the back of the track, back of the field there.
Huge crash there, and that's going to damage a few drivers for sure. As you say, Matt Danson involved in that one. We'll go back and have a little look at that one. I was just actually had my head down for a second as I was writing down my notes, and Danson might be in for a penalty as well because he came flying into the pit lane as well as he made that mistake.
Yeah, it just looks like he was trying to go on the outside of Roby there, and Roby's come up. And that's just caused a huge effect, we'll call it.
Yeah, a huge one there, and Micklemore as well actually got underneath Danson there and flicked him up, and Micklemore's just gone through, and I do apologise, a lot of cars just jumping off my screen as we go through that. I'm not sure if it's my system or not, but it appears like there's not much bodywork damage to the cars out there.
Yeah, it doesn't look like there's been much bodywork damage to Matt there in that crash, even given how hard that crash was, which is interesting.
Yeah, it's a bit of an interesting one. I'm just gonna. I will be back with you in a second. I'll just leave the comm box to you, Jono, just for 1 second.
So everyone will just be picking themselves back up here, and we'll probably see another round of pit stops unfold here.
Okay, so
yep.
sorry, yeah, damage is actually turned off for this one, so we've got no damage on the cars. So just to help out with the race, so there is an incident point limit, but damage is off, so that's going to help a lot of drivers out for sure.
Yeah, that's quite an interesting decision there.
Not sure if it was a mistake or a intended decision.
Something that you brought up with me before and is interesting. You see a black Matt Danson car, I see a blue one. So
you've got to
him
love
and his liveries.
Yeah, he's like Sebastian Vettel back in 2012 and 2013. A different helmet for every race and every practice, qualifying and race session. Which does throw things out a bit.
I guess if you can get it out of the sponsors, why not, right?
A bit of extra sponsorship, yeah, for sure.
Better be careful what I say.
Yeah. But of course, no damage is going to really help out these drivers that were involved in that incident, because Well, they're not going to suffer from it. They're basically getting away scot-free. And of course, there is an instant point limit. So if you do go over those instant points, you are going to get knocked out, unfortunately. But it is it's interesting to have no damage on because it's basically pure racing from here on out.
Yeah, it is just now race. Don't worry about wrecking the car too much because when that first accident happened, I thought there would have been a fair few more, well, a few less JP Simshed cars up the front there looking at it. But now that you say that there's no damage, that makes a lot more sense.
Yeah,
Especially Danny G flicking a bit at the moment.
yeah, it confused me a little bit there. But the incident counter for DQ is 16, I think. So you know you've got a couple of chances, but if you do keep doing it, you're going to get knocked out.
Yeah, I think it's 16 for a drosser and 18 ender it. You got to park it up. I think
Yeah.
I could be wrong.
So it's not a free for all. Everybody crash into each other, but obviously with damage turned off, this means that Talladega has become a bit of a. It gives you more of a chance because when you do get caught up in that big one, you're not going to get knocked out of the race, and it's not going to be it's not as much heartbreak as we saw with Josh Micklemore because he got caught up in that incident with Matt Danson landing on top of him, and that would normally have knocked you out the race. But of course, no damage now means that you're going to be a bit safer.
Yeah, it means that you can push a little harder than you normally would, knowing that, okay, there might be as much danger in damaging the car.
Gives people a bit of a chance, which is what we like to see. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting one. So pace car should be going around for a couple more laps, and then it will be popping in. And as my system plays around a little bit, as we come on to lap 24. So lap 25, we should be going back to green. But so far, it's looking good for Danny G.
Yeah, he's had a clean race out the front there all night so far, which is great for him.
Yeah, Danny G, I think he got the win in the trucks, or was it? I think it was the trucks this week.
Yep.
Got his first win of the 2020 season. So he's looking to actually convert that into a cup win as well. Luck hasn't been all Danny G's way, unfortunately, which is it's strange to say because Danny G has been very consistent in the championship. As I say, he's sitting up there, I think, in third place. He's been very good consistent wise, but not getting those wins. And it seems to be the case in that sort of Mitch Motorsport team of Josh Micklemore and Jason Martin tend to be the slightly stronger drivers for wins over Danny G. Not saying that in a mean way, but Danny G is the driver that tends to be a little bit more consistent, but doesn't tend to get those first places. So he's just looking to just get that little bit of an extra step up, and this could be the race where he does it. So without putting the curse of the commentator on him, but he is doing well.
Yeah, you better be careful there, Carl.
It's easy to happen, and of course, when you race in the trucks in the Xfinity series as a commentator, when you do put the curse of the commentator on somebody, you end up getting the driver that you cursed coming up behind you and often giving you a little bit of a love tap. But the lights should go out in the pace car this time round, hopefully. And we should be going back to racing very shortly. And not many people took advantage of that extra pit stop there. I think a couple of drivers did come in, but down the back end of the grid, not many up the front. So it wasn't much of a run in there for everybody. So they're sort of sticking it out there a little bit. We're on lap 25 now. So theoretically, if they pit anywhere now on, they're going to be able to make it to the end of the race with just 2 more stops.
Yeah, do we know if tyre degradation is on with and working with no damage being on?
That I will be back in a second.
You'll find out for me. So these are being very long, slow laps here for the drivers on the caution as we are getting ready to go.
We are. So yeah, tyre degradation is on, but it doesn't really do anything on this track. The drivers are just saying that there's not much going on with tyre deg. It is purely on fuel. So fuel-wise, we are looking at that sort of. If we get another caution out in the next 5 or 10 laps, people will pit, and they'll be doing a free stopper from there, because you can get about
35 laps.
Yeah, 35 laps with the fuel. So we've got a bit of a JP Simshed train on the outside now, with Hartigan, Carol Walden, Foster there, and then Norman Clark, just not quite in the train at the moment, but getting there. So the JP Simshed boys are looking quite good at the moment. They could start pulling away a little bit if they manage to get this restart well.
Yeah, someone who's sitting quietly just behind those guys in a good position is Bradley Ellison. Being a rookie this year, he's done quite well for himself.
And we are back to green and away they go, and Danny G doesn't get as good a restart as last time, as we get a good push from Jason Hartigan. He's getting a lovely bit of push from his teammate Joshua Carroll Walden. Yeah, Bradley Allison has been a bit of a star this year. We've got the two Allison rookies this season. Bradley Allison has been very consistent and been doing very well. He's really showing himself as a talented driver, as Jason Hartigan gets in the lead, drops down in front of Danny G, and now that outside line is getting a bit of a push from Allison, Foster and Carol Walden, but they're going to want to try and get a little bit more people behind them to help them out, because they're starting to drop back a bit.
Yeah, and that's the difference between being on the outside and the inside line. Sometimes there's just not as many people on that outside line willing to take that risk. And you'll see now that way back up through the field again.
Yeah, forcing his way back up there, and they're going free wide. Bradley Allison on the outside there. And yeah, a lot of people, a little bit of a rub there between Allison and Danson, I think. Just a slight bit of door rubbing there. Personally, I prefer the outside line at Dega. But the inside line is definitely quicker. As Barry Neal is sitting up there on the outside, quite a bit of marbles on the front of his car. It's not looking as clean as it did at the start of the race, but he's still got some serious pace in there. That Golf Livery car is looking great. Really love the blue and the orange up there. But Jason Hartigan has managed to get back in the lead and is holding the position well.
Yeah, he's doing quite well to stay out in front there, and him and Benny G just got that little gap there.
That little bit of breathing space, which is nice to have, and it just gives you that option, just so you've got that as Skurlock in the polka dot car is climbing up the outside there, right on the outside, playing a bit of wall of death on the outside line there, beside Barry Neal, and he's just trying to get that side draft, but it looks like he's not working out so well for him. He's going to have to drop back in. He's going to drop in, and it looks like Josh Mickelmore is going to get down underneath him, get through past Skurlock, and Skurlock's lost a lot of positions from that. And now Dave Douglas is coming up behind him to give him a bit of help, but the outside line is working again, and this is pushing Danny G along now. Danny G is getting the help from Joshua Carroll Walden, so the teammates are actually sort of hurting Jason Hartigan here, just helping his opposition get in front of him. But as we say, with fuel mileage, it is quite good to have that second place, because you're not going to use it as much. The third line is now forming. We've got Dave Douglas, Michael Skurlock, and Josh Mickelmore out there, and they're starting to push themselves along quite well. We're running 3 wide at the moment.
Yeah, we're seeing that third line like slowly falling off here.
And it looks like Foster's trying to take advantage of it now. He's dropped out into that third line, trying to get a bit of air on there. And it looks like Roger Clark's come out there as well to join him. So that third line is starting to form up. So we might be running 3 wide here. 3 wide at Dega. What could go wrong?
Not much.
Somebody's either going to come out as a knight or as a squire in this one. Then it could come from 0 to hero, but it's going to be a tricky one for sure.
Yeah, it'll be definitely quite tricky and quite scary, as we see Matt still all over the back of that 66 there, trying to find a way.
He's
Wise
trying
is
his
now
hardest.
pushing his lack a little bit there, trying to cut up in front of JCW.
Yeah, he's just getting up there, and he's just managed to get on the outside of Stevens, and he's got up into that second line, and that's helping him a lot. Third line doesn't seem to have too much speed, but it's not dropping back much. It's not losing speed, but it's not really gaining an advantage as Matt Danson goes up high, gets slightly pushed out the line, and he's just having to use that side draft now. He's going to try and get in front of Jason Hartigan here as we go 3 wide across the start-finish straight as they're all battling for position. Matt Danson's on the outside. Jason Hartigan's managed to take back the lead. This pack racing is brilliant. This is what we want to see at Dega.
Yeah, definitely some big moves there from Jason, pushing Matt out of the road there, forcing the issue to get him up out of the pack and using his teammate JCW to get back in front of Denny G there.
Yeah, and I think the drivers are just having a little bit more of a bravery pill because of that, of not having that damage. They're a little bit more feisty out there for sure than normal, but they're still not. You know, you've still got to be careful. You can still easily get done on points and things like that. But we're seeing some great pack racing here, and this is what we want to see. This is restricted plate racing at its best, as Danny G gets back into the lead as they're 5 wide across the start-finish line there for a moment. As one of the lap cars goes down, Matt Danson is very high. He's almost touching the wall up there. He's getting the side draft at the moment. Boy, I don't know where to look at the moment. There's just so much action at the front of this pack.
Yeah, Matt would definitely be trying to get right up against that wall too to get the better run on the front and back stretch there with, again, the 2 JP Simshed cars behind him.
And of course, getting up close to the wall, that's an advantage because it helps with the aerodynamics of the car, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And it's what we see here, and it's one of the reasons you want to stick close to that wall. It's almost like giving yourself a little bit of a draft there, as Danny G has really taken the lead, but Joshua Carroll is fighting hard for that second place at the moment, sitting out there on that second line. That third line is still definitely there with Matt Danson in front of Edward Foster. Boy, oh boy, this pack racing is not holding up. There is action all across the field, and there's quite a lot of action back down as well. I mean, we're keeping our eyes at the front of the pack at the moment, but it's all over the place. There is racing going on everywhere. It's open season for watching racing at the moment because it's all across the track.
Yeah, when there's 3 wide, you've got to understand that's a lot of positions all the way back then. You're talking 9 to 3 rows. So you take that mass and do it a few times, and you've got a lot of drivers in a very small spot.
Well, that's it. It's pretty much the top 20 are within, top 20 are within a second of each other. Which is nothing. It's such little time. And just reporting, Mick Wilson is back on the track, so good to see he's back out there. He's 3 laps down, but he's managed to get back out there. So we've still got a full roster of drivers out there.
Yeah, it's good to see, especially with there being no damage. No one should really be parking it up tonight unless they have what we call technical issues.
Yeah, of course, technical issues can be a big problem, and we have seen it in the past. I think back to a couple of races ago with Edward Foster, he had about a lap and a half where his internet disconnected. He had to reconnect his internet connection while he was driving, which is multitasking at its best, and he managed to get back in the race from it, but lost a few positions. But these technical issues do happen, as Joshua Carroll gets a great push from Bradley Allison. He's going to be loving Allison at the moment, giving him a great push to get back into the lead. And this is helping Barry Neal as well get up there. Barry Neal's just sitting behind Allison. We've got Joshua Micklemore up the top at the moment. just all over the place, keeping that car struggling on, as well as Roger Clark. He's just having a four-wheel drift there for a second. But those guys are really fighting for those positions. It looks like the bottom pack has managed to put a bit of a distance down, put a bit of a lead.
Yeah, Bradley just falling back into that fifth position after pushing Josh up the front there.
And of course, there is still quite a long way to go in this race, and we've still got pit stops, we've still got fuel to worry about. There is still so much more to happen here. It's not done yet for sure. It's still anybody's race really. As Michael Skerlock gets up quite high and very close to touching Norman Clark there. Very close to each other there for a couple of seconds. As I said, the action's all over the place. I don't know where to look at the moment.
No, and everywhere I look I see them pesky JP Simshed cars.
With Illusion dissolving, they've become the new Illusion Motorsport of being the most the most team cars out there at the moment. There's quite a few of them, but they've got some seriously good talent underneath them. And speaking of good talent, Danny G's just coming out, and that Mitch Motorsport team, they are starting to climb. They're starting to get those positions back. They had problems earlier on because the cars of Mickelmore and Martin and Danson's gone around, and there's a huge wreck at the back. Huge incident at the back, just taking out Jason Martin as I was talking, just about to mention him. Matt Danson has gone around, and just going back to have a little bit of a look at that one. But Danson's gone around and a huge incident there, and a couple of the JP Simshed cars getting involved in that too. Just going to see exactly what happened with that one. Oh, and it looks like the 71 came down and touched Danson. So the 71 of Rob Fletcher just came down into Danson and spun him around. And that's left a huge amount of spinning cars. Jason Martin ended up mounting a few people in that incident there. A lot of cars have gone round though, and that's going to drop a lot of the cars to the back of the pack. But this means that everybody's going to be able to come in for some fuel.
Yeah, give everyone those tyres and fuel. And now we'll see we're nearly on lap 40, so there's one less pit stop for the guys to do.
One less stop for them to do. Yeah, this is gonna help them out enormously. This is gonna mean they can cut this race into a two-stop race. But you can see by that replay a huge amount of cars going flipping through the air. It was one of the cars trying to figure out who that was. The orange car of. Could actually flick through and find out who that was, doing a absolutely beautiful pirouette there in the sky. Would have got some extra points in the Ballet Society. Would have got a fantastic result in that, and we're coming in for the pit stops now, so everybody's coming in. Let's see what happens.
Now, well, on the yellow here, Carl, do you want to take a gamble yet that we're nearly halfway through it?
Oh,
Who's
look,
going to come out on top?
if I make a gamble, it's always going to go wrong, but I think everybody's going to change for 4 tyres. It looks like, oh, it's very close between the car Danny G and Hartigan, but I think Danny G just had it. So good. So 11.8 for Hartigan and Carol Walden, and 11.2 for Danny G there. Just great stop. Really good work. Car that's also benefited from this is James Roby. Saw him involved in an incident earlier on, and he's got to stop again, but he's managed to work his way back into the pack. So things are going quite well. And getting a point for leading the race at least now is Shea Thompson, first time leading a cup race. Good job on Shea. Matt Hunter as well is currently sort of sitting up there quite high too. So nice to see Matt Hunter up there. Hopefully he can get back up here for the actual for the race a little bit later on, because it'll be nice to see Matt Hunter getting a good result. One of the admins, of course, for the ANZCAR servers. So a lot of work that goes on for him. But we're going to have to wait and see what happens when everything just starts sorting itself out.
Yeah, and someone who we were just talking about who now has had something happen is Bradley Ellison. I don't know what's happened there, but he's down on the inside of the track, going very slowly at the moment.
Possibly a technical issue there for him. So yeah, we'll have to see what happens there for him. Hopefully, it's not a terminal issue for Allison, because it'll be nice to see him getting back up there.
Yeah, it would be good to see him get back up there, but it might have just been the end of the longest line. Maybe he got done for speeding on pit road there.
May well done indeed. So well run to caution. I'm just going to go through the actual standings as it is.
Yep, so we got Shea Thompson in first, Matt Hunter in second, James Roby in third, Joshua Carrawald in fourth, Denny G fifth, Jason Hardigan, as it's all sorting itself out. The timing, I apologise. We'll start that one again. We got Shea Thompson in first, Denny G second, JCW third, Jason fourth, Ryan Richmond fifth, Norman Clark fifth, Edward Foster sixth, Josh Micklemore seventh, Michael Skurlock 8th, Barry Neal 10th, and it's running at your top 10 as we're here proceeding under caution at the moment. So we've got again Shea Thompson up the front there, which he's had a few good races here and there throughout the season.
How you going there? Thought I'd jump in and say hello.
How are you going, JP?
Really well. Thought I'd get out of the booth and come and say hello and get in on some of the action tonight.
Yeah, well, your cars are doing quite well out there tonight.
They're not doing too badly at all. Matter of fact, I was going to try and see if I could grab one of the drivers and maybe have a chat to them. I'm not quite sure whether we can, though. We'll see how far away we are to restarting the race. Lights are still on the safety car, so I might jump into the sim shed server and have a sneaky chat to the guys.
Yeah, well, we're going to have one more lap at least under the pace car, so we'll have a little bit of time for that at least.
I'll jump in the sim shed server and I'll talk to the fellas.
What?
Hey there, fellas, you're on air.
Hello.
Hello, everyone.
Hi.
Thought I'd jump in and see how you're going. You guys are seeming to have a fairly good race at the moment.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so far,
yeah,
so
we
good.
are. Yeah, just we're just playing the cards well with the circumstances at the moment, but there's still 50 laps to go, so you know this isn't going to mean anything if we're not up there at the end.
100%, a lot of racing left to go. Are you finding that there's one line that's probably suiting you guys more than another, or?
You know, I think, you know, well, I don't know about the other guys, but myself personally, in the 35, you know, I'm comfortable pretty much all the way, you know, all the way up and down the track. However, you know, it is a bit hard to get a line going, you know, in the mid-line to high line, so the low line's probably the best place to be at this point in time.
For sure. Well, look, I can see the lights are out on the safety car, so I'm going to leave you guys to it. Best of luck. And I'll go quiet again and leave it to Jono and Carl to do the commentary.
Yep, no worries. Hope everyone at home's enjoying the race.
See you, fellas.
Yeah.
There we go. I'm just going to go dark now and go quiet again and leave you guys to your commentary.
Lovely.
Okay.
So we had JCW there. Thanks, JP, for grabbing him down. So yeah, it's we're going to go back to racing soon. Of course, we forgot that JP moved down to the sim shed area, and we were busy commentating away there while nobody was listening. So you missed out on some of the best commentary there was all season there, unfortunately. But we'll hopefully get some more back soon. So back to green, and well, what are we going to see? I mean, It's the racing has been very intense. My throat is sore at the moment, and we're just sort of we're just getting halfway through. It's just yeah, it's been one hell of a race so far.
Yeah, well, Shay is up the front there. Now, I don't believe Shay took tyres. I could be wrong. I don't remember. So we'll see how his restart is.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting there. Shay, again, rookie there, gained quite a few positions, and also um, just looking at the actual areas, we've got Danny G up there. So Shay, this is going to be the first time taking a restart in the Cup Series. So we'll have to see how Shay does in this one. And green it goes. Good restart there by Shay Thompson. Manages to drop the hammer well, get a good lead away from the car behind him, Joshua Carroll-Walden. Danny G has just fallen back a little bit and got Jason Hartigan behind him just trying to push. Jason Hartigan drops down and goes to his teammate, stops helping out his teammate, pushing him forwards. They're going to come forwards very quickly on Shay Thompson, and all very close there between Hartigan and Danny G, trying to get outside of that line.
Yeah, maybe trying to give Danny G a bit of a push up the track there to give a bit more room to himself and his teammate to get out front there.
Really trying very hard to muscle the way through. Muscling their way through as well is Michael Skurlock, pushing the way through, getting out sort of midline, working very well. Good restart there by Skurlock. We're going to see how much this tyre degradation is going to affect Shay Thompson right now, because not taking tyres doesn't seem to have affected them too much, because still got some relatively good pace out there.
Yeah, he'd be getting that push from JCW there, which would be really helping him out at this point in time, but he mightn't be able to hold it up there for as long as he would like.
No, and another guy that's doing quite well as well, another new face, is Brian Richmond, sitting up there on the outside line in front of, he managed to get himself in front of Danny G there. So we've got a few new faces up at the front here, which is what we love to see. It's great having some new faces in the top sort of area of the Cup race. And this is the kind of thing you can get from these super speedways, these restrictor plate races, because they can be a bit chaotic.
Yeah, that can be for sure. It's very interesting to see how these races play out.
Indeed. And looks like people are just settling in a little bit now. Not quite as frantic as it was on the last restart, but things can always change. That second line is looking to try and break out into a third line maybe. They're pushing along Brian Richmond quite well at the moment. But Shay has got a good lead as it stands, so want to sort of sit in this position for a while, pick up a few bonus points for leading as well.
Yeah, just sitting up there, getting those bonus points can add up over time.
Well, it's a nice thing to do, leading a cup race. It's not many people get the chance of it, and leading a race in general is often a nice feeling. I think back to the German Grand Prix back in a long time ago now, when Marcus Winkelhock came in and managed to get the lead of the race. I think it was in like a Minardi or whatever they turned into. But yeah, long ago. But just getting that chance to lead a race is a fantastic feeling. But on the outside, up in the third line, we've got the Mitch Motorsport cars of, it looks like Jason Martin and I think
Jaeger.
it might be Jaeger, yeah, it's Jaeger up there just trying to get that third line working, and they're going to try and work their way up to Micklemore.
Yeah, we'll see how that works out for him, because we did have 3 lines going there before that caution did come out.
We did indeed, and currently Jaeger is a lap down, so sort of sitting there just trying to get that lap back as well. So he's the first of the people a lap down, so get the lucky dog. So he's going to be happy sitting there for some time as we go around, and there's nothing between really the top sort of 20 cars. They're still very much in a sort of close formation at the moment.
Yeah, on that back stretch, Mr. Matt Danson was very aggressive, dropping below the yellow there to make a position up, which is an interesting tactic.
it's a risky tactic to take because there is a lot less grip on that infield on below the line. When you get onto that sort of section, you can easily drop the car. So it is a bit of a risky strategy, and it's sometimes officials don't particularly like it either, but it is a valid thing to do still. It is allowed on this track from what I remember, but it's a risk at your own accord.
Yeah, as we're starting to see the cars slowly move around again to get that airflow back in the nose as they heat up during the run. We're starting to see a good push from this bottom line away from that middle and top line.
Yeah, that bottom line is holding quite strong, and in that line we've got there's a fair few JP Simshed cars. You've got Hardigan and Foster in that lower line at the moment. In the top line you've got in the top line you've got Hardigan, sorry. You've got Joshua Carroll in that bottom line. Hardigan's making the push and coming up to the front now, and he's going to try and cut down in front of Thompson. Will he manage it?
I'm not going to comment on that one, Carl, because every time I comment, the opposite happens.
Well, that is the joys of a commentator. It's everything you say, the opposite will happen. It's a magical power we possess, and we've got to use it wisely. With great power comes great responsibility.
Yeah, I remember a few rounds ago Jason making me look like an idiot. So I'm not going to comment on his stuff anymore.
It's easy enough to happen for sure. It is one of those things that can really cause problems, and yeah, you've got to be careful. You've really got to take care and be careful. And as Edward Foster gets taken into, and Skark as well, a huge crash down the back straight. Foster is on his roof at the moment, sliding along on top of the roof. Don't know if Foster's managed to get back on four wheels. No, he's still turtled. Upside down at the moment is Foster, so that's going to actually affect him quite badly because he's actually going to have to go back to the pits for that one. Get a tow back to the pits. That was a huge wreck. It looks like Brian Richmond has just gone into Foster. Looks like Brian Richmond just got down into Foster and didn't notice him sitting there. And a huge wreck there as cars go over and over and over. Foster rolling about 15 times there. That is a huge wreck. Skurlock as well there, flying over most of the field. Skurlock actually managing to land on all four wheels in the end, I think. But a lot of rolls there for Skurlock. So that was a huge wreck.
Yeah, and someone who was very lucky to stay out of that was actually Bradley Ellison. He just got a clip and managed to stay below the yellow to keep his car clean.
Yeah, and Matt Danson got another hit as well in that one. Bradley Allison actually got ping-ponged a little bit and actually got very lucky because Raymond Yeager was coming down the inside of him and actually steered him back into the correct direction. As they all come into the pit lane again, all bar Shea Thompson.
Yeah, interesting call on his behalf, isn't it?
It is.
Working for him though at the moment, I guess.
It is. I'm not sure when Shea Thompson actually last stopped. Producer might be able to give me a call on that one. Let me know when the last pit stop was for Shea Thompson. But that could make a difference. Lap 22 was the last stop for Shea Thompson, so probably about 10 to 15 laps worth of fuel left in that car.
Yeah, you have to be shaking that tank, turn it off under caution.
A sub 7-second pit stop for Danny G, blistering stop there. He must be playing his crew a little bit extra tonight. The JP Simshed boys were about a 10-second pit stop, so I think maybe Danny G just didn't take any tyres and just dabbed some fuel into the car just to help out a little bit there. Got very good stop indeed. So that's going to be interesting to see how that one pans out.
Yeah, it will be interesting to see how it all plays out here in the last half of this race.
And another person that's made up some good positions is Matt Hunter, and again, I think Matt Hunter didn't end up stopping, so Matt Hunter stayed out there and has gained some positions. So that's quite good for Hunter there. I think Skurlock was still stuck on his roof for about an extra lap and a half there, so Skurlock was stuck turtled for a bit there, so he's dropped down quite a bit. Skurlock and Foster have both dropped a lap down, unfortunately, because of that incident. Being stuck on their roofs, which is not what you want to have happen to you.
No, it's not, because now you've got to wait for the tow truck to come out and get you, flip you over and take you back into the pits.
Yeah, luckily the tow trucks are a bit quicker than the ones in real life, so that does help out a lot. But yeah, that was a big crash there, and that's taken out a few of our main contenders. As we see Rob Fletcher coming into the pit lane now for a bit of a top up. Matt Danson as well got caught up in that incident again. Danson's basically must have ingested a four-leaf clover, in all honesty, because he's got very lucky tonight. If damage was on, I think Danson's car would only be a roll cage left by now.
Yeah, I think there'd be a lot less drivers out there tonight. If we did have damage on, we'd be commentating about 5 to 10 cars at the moment.
Yeah, it would be a very different race with damage on. So, it's one of those strange things. I honestly do prefer damage on because it's one of those things just for realism's sakes. But at the same time, on a super speedway like this, it does make it interesting when you don't have damage on, because it allows for some serious racing, and we've got some great racing so far tonight.
Yeah, did you find out if that was accidental car or not?
Not found out yet. No, not got
Okay.
anything from that. But let us know in the comments. Let us know what you think about the damage factor in sort of sim racing. We'd love to hear from you. What's your opinion? Do you like to see races where damage is on, or do you prefer races where damage is off? Because again, that would be an interesting thing to hear about. And what I might do is I'll be back in one moment.
So under caution, we'll see some drivers, maybe not here, but in the longer races, under caution, when fuel does come into play, they do turn off their cars or put them into fourth and put the clutch in to just use as little fuel as they can to make that fuel run last a little bit longer to play into their strategy if they can. But it's all driver preference on how they do it, and obviously strategy and how it plays out throughout the race. As we're coming around again, hopefully for the last time this time by here, as we see some of the back markers going in for a pit service. Daniel Stevens and Matt Cluett are in for their pit, as this is the final lap now for the safety car, and will be green next time by.
It will be, and the damage was accidental. So what we're going to do is we're going to get somebody up here for the restart. We're going to get number 10, Dave Douglas, up here for the restart of the race quickly, and just get a bit of an idea of how it goes for the restart for him. Dave Douglas, how's it going?
Hey guys, what's going on?
Yeah, it's been a pretty exciting race up here. Very different, of course, because of the damage system not being on. That's changed things up a bit for it, made it some spicy racing. How are you going out there on the track?
Yeah, I'm going all right at the moment. I was in fourth, but then a couple of guys have done a bit of a joker through the pits and took a bit less fuel, I'd say, than me. But at the moment, what I'm going to do, my little secret here, sit on this bottom line, and when they all try to go up, they think, oh, I can't go forward, so I've got to go up to go forward, and I'll just take that spot, and I'll just work my way forward. But yeah, without the damage, it's weird. It's making everyone sort of less nervous. So we were able to run 3 wide for so long earlier, so it was good.
Yeah, we did have that huge moment from about lap 24 or so to lap 39, so where people were running 3 wide. There was some serious racing going on. It'll be nice to get a bit of an interesting insight from your restart on with you from your position.
Yes, certainly.
So with that last stop, did you end up taking tyres as well?
Yeah, I took tyres. I took the works. I thought, why not? We'll get the works, and then I'm good for the rest of the race. I won't be going in again from here now, so we're good to go.
Cool.
We'll roll off in second here, and as I said, hopefully these boys get a good jump in front, and we can clear that outside line, and then someone else will jump up in front, I'd say, and try and make another line.
Well, we'll see how it goes. The green's going to be coming out soon for you, so we'll keep you on the line a little bit longer while we do that.
Yeah, certainly.
Best of luck. Well, you managed to get from 30th up to 7th at the moment, so it's going well at the moment.
Yeah, it's going all right. We're about to go green. It's a long way down to the start line of this joint through the trio. Here we go. Let's see what we got here.
And away we
Start
go.
in front. Hamish is away. He's all over the back of whoever that is in front of him. Denny G, I think.
Danny G up there in front, and Shay Thompson right at the front there. Shay Thompson just keeping out, not stopping with those last few stops, and that's made it a bit different.
There goes the 424. I told you someone to go up. Someone will make that line. So exactly as I thought it was going to happen, and now I'm going to be P3 on the bottom line here, and we'll just roll up here, and we won't push too hard, and we're sitting in the box seat.
It's sitting well for you, and look, you've got a very good consistency for your driving. You tend to make it up into those P10 positions, and you tend to do well on these super speedways as well.
Yeah, don't do too bad on the old speedways. I don't mind. This is where I sort of plied my trade before I found ANZCAR. I used to love getting out here and running the Carb Cups and etc.
Have you found it quite different now that you're sort of out on your own a bit?
Nah. I'm just here for a bit of fun, mate. Thought I'd dust the old bloody Camry off for a run at Dega, mate. Can't miss Dega.
Oh look, you won at Dega last year, wasn't it?
Yeah, one Dega, one at Daytona. So, like I said, I won't miss it. I'll always be here.
Yeah, well, we wish you the best of luck. I'll let you get back up into the Desperados booth, up into the green room. But best of luck with the rest of the race, mate.
Yeah, no worries, George. Hopefully I can bring home a W.
See you later, Dave.
See you, boys.
Number 10 there, Dave Douglas. So yeah, good bit of insight there from the race, and just really showing off with his skill, being able to talk and drive at the same time.
Yeah, it does take a lot of the drive to be able to do that. He was having a beautiful look at the back of that Edward can't draft. Mr. Edward Foster there can't draft. Sticker on the back of the car in front of him there.
Yeah, interesting hashtag on that one, isn't it?
Yeah, I thought you'd like that one there, Carl.
Yeah, so it's well, it's going along, and as I say, unfortunately, it was a bit of an accidental one for the damage. So we'll see how that goes. Unfortunately, we've lost a couple of drivers. Skurlock's actually been disqualified because of that incident, just because of the amount of damage and well, rolls he had in that one. He ended up stuck on his roof for a good almost 2 laps, and ended up getting a DSQ for it. So a real shame for Skurlock there, because he was running very well in this race.
Yeah, these cars like to go on their licks. They're not easy to self-right when they're rolling.
No, it's not the easiest thing in general to put the car back on its wheels when it rolls. It's not something you want to do. I think back to back into the old days when I used to go rallying with Mr. Edward Foster, and his brother James, and ended up rolling a Chrysler Lancer, and the worst thing about that was, of course, once we got it back on the right side, all the oil had slipped down into the top of the engine. We managed to get the engine restarted, and it basically looks like a small forest fire had occurred in the garage, with the black smoke and stuff that came out of it, but not fun to do. Danny G getting a good push here and is getting back in front of Thompson, who must be running a little bit low on fuel now.
Yeah, I don't know how Shay's still out there at this point in time. Must be getting close to running out.
Yeah, must be hoping for a caution to come out. Maybe just... Shay's not been sort of in the lead much for the ANZCAR season, still a rookie for the Cup Series, so maybe just trying to get that time in the spotlight, getting some time on the sponsors and things like that as well, which is always nice to have happen. You can never complain when you get into the lead and get some time on your car shown, but yeah, sticking out there for sure, doing a great job at the moment, keeping that lead and keeping a cool head under pressure as well.
Yeah, quite definitely.
Hamish Gallagher all over the back at the moment and sitting there very well in the 13 management car. Doing a great job though. These guys just keeping well under pressure, and as Dave said, a lot of these guys are just they're feeling a little bit more relaxed because the damage isn't out there. They're feeling a little bit more confident for these sort of running a little bit closer to each other and running a little bit wide, but it just shows the quality of the drivers that we've got, really, that we haven't had more incidents. I mean, we've had a few crashes, of course, but this is Talladega. But people aren't making silly mistakes. They're not making silly incidents. As Matt Danson goes a lap down there, something we're not used to saying. Danson just getting lapped there pretty quickly just because it wasn't in the actual pack. But this has given a good run for Josh Mickelmore.
Yeah, he just managed to get under Bradley there, and now you see the two Mitch Motorsport cars move down as he goes to the outside with Hamish there.
Yeah, really worked in a good position. Just looking through the order. Currently sitting in second place is Dave Douglas as well. Brilliant job for Dave Douglas there. As he said, just working on that strategy of just keeping low, not too much risks, as we get a incident at the back as Barry Neal and Riley Curtis and one other car has got into a crash there, but we've remained green somehow.
Oh, here we go. Now we get
and the caution is out. So number one, I think maybe Phil Otto was involved in that. Just going back to have a little look at that incident. Jason Hardigan got involved in that, unfortunately. A real shame. Jason Hardigan, of course, our pole sitter, getting involved in that incident. A real shame there. Just going back to have a look at that, and looks like Barry Neal's just come up a little bit, caught Hartigan just underneath, and that spun Hartigan around. Huge impact there. Real shame there. Barry Neal bouncing all across the track as well. So those guys have been really caught up in that one. And that was a huge incident, and that's brought out another caution here on lap 63.
That plays right into Shay Thompson's hands. He'll be rubbing them together at the moment.
Yeah, but as we heard from Dave Douglas, doesn't need to stop again. So I wonder if Dave Douglas will stick out here. I mean, maybe Shay Thompson might be the only one that stops.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see.
As I think that's actually... We just have to see what happens there. But a real shame for Hartigan, because Hartigan had some serious pace.
Looks like everyone's going to come down. Oh,
no,
Dave,
there we go. Dave Douglas does the dummy. So Dave Douglas there pulls the dummy there, and so does Joshua Carroll Walden, I think. Yeah, JCW there as well. Pulls the dummy and sticks out there. This
Bradley
is going to help.
Ellison as well. Stayed out.
As well as Matt Danson. So Matt Danson's going to get back on the lead lap. But this is going to put Dave Douglas in the lead. And as we heard from Dave, he doesn't need to stop again. So this could work out perfectly for Douglas.
Yeah, a lot of those guys that did stop last time by shouldn't have to stop again. But when you get the chance to put fresh tyres on, you weigh it up sometimes and just see how it plays out.
Well, generally fresh tyres are the better option, but we have seen here tyre degradation isn't huge. It is on, I assure you it is on, but it's not a big drop-off here. Because of the draft effect, you don't really notice it that much unless the tyres really fall off the cliff. But another person this has helped out is Matt Hunter, currently sitting in 5th place, getting started in 27th. So Matt Hunter up there in the Mustang doing a great job so far, and good to see for Hunter.
Yeah, that is a good job. Matt's been having a quiet season in Xfinity, the Thunder Series. Believe I'm actually fighting him for a 5th position in the championship going into the final round next week.
Yeah, and Matt Hunter, he missed out a lot of driving for the last few seasons because he was basically in the same position as JP was, is now as the director, and we thank him enormously for all the help he's done for graphics and back when we were on Performance E streaming back in the day. All of the work that went on there. So it's nice to see Matt Hunter actually managing to get some racing under his belt because he really does deserve to get a good run out there. And it's nice to see him up in those positions because he does work quite hard behind the scenes. And as I said, is one of the admins. So it's good to see him actually getting a good race. And he lacks a bit of experience over everybody else simply because he doesn't get that time running for those seasons. So good to see him up there for sure.
Yeah, it is good to see him up there and getting a good run in.
As Jason Martin comes into the pit lane now, a lap down. So Jason Martin got caught up in one of those big incidents a little bit earlier on, and really got thrown down. So big shame for Martin down there. And yeah, that's really a few drivers have really got affected with that, and we're sort of seeing, as we sometimes do with Talladega, some of the drivers that we don't usually see up the top of the grid being up there, even with damage off, as accidental as it is, we're kind of seeing the same sort of thing we normally see at Talladega with a bit of a mismatch.
Yeah, it is always anyone's game here at Dega, Daytona, any of these super speedways. It's anyone's game to win.
It is, and as I say, it's a bit of a lottery most of the times.
Yeah, as long as you're driving, you're in a chance to win, but it doesn't matter.
You've got to be in it to win it, of course.
It's always a last lap, though.
It is, and well, as Dave Douglas was saying, it is such a long front straight, well, tri-oval slash dogleg on Talladega that you can really get sort of out of position and sort of manage to get a win on that last lap. You can get a good run on somebody. A person that's doing quite well again is Bradley Allison up in 3rd place at the moment. We've got Norman Clark in 4th place. So just going through the top 10 quickly, it's Dave Douglas, Joshua Carroll-Walton, Bradley Allison, Norman Clark, Matt Hunter, Bradley Kemp, Danny G, Josh Micklemore, Jason Hartigan, and Hamish Gallagher. Guy that I'm surprised to see up there is Jason Hartigan. Being involved in that incident, he's managed to get his way back up into the top 10.
Yeah, interesting to see him back up there.
It's it was unfortunate, but he's it's worked out well for him. Still, it's actually gained him positions.
Somehow that works.
Yeah, somehow that works. A bit like me on the Xfinity race on Tuesday. I was a bit unsure how I managed to gain positions, but I was happy to take them. It sometimes works out with that though on strategy. You sometimes you don't realise how you've done it, and you're just like, well, I'm happy for this. This has worked out well. Another car out there with a great livery is Mark Johansson. A great Anzac Day livery on that car, beautiful white car with the poppies across it, and of course the the ANZAC logo on the front of the car. So great looking car out there. A little bit dirty now though. Quite a lot of bits of rubber stuck to the front of that car.
Yeah, they'll all be starting to get dirty out here as we continue on through this race. I believe this is 1 to green here on lap.
Yep.
We'll be going lap 67 as we cross to go green.
Yeah, lap 67, and we'll be going back to green, and Dave Douglas takes the lead. Well, it worked out well for Dave Douglas. We heard his strategy, we heard what he was doing, and it seems to be working well for him. Next to him is JCW, Joshua Carroll Walden. Behind him, he's got his teammate in Norman Clark. So, again, JP Simshed have got some good cars up in those positions again. It's working out well for that team. Strength in numbers definitely does help, but a number of their vehicles have fallen. A guy that has fallen back a little bit is Danny G, but he's next to his teammate in Josh Micklemore. So again, they've got some good cars up here in that top 10 position, so it could work out well for those guys.
Yeah, and someone else who's having a good, quiet race there is Bradley Kemp at the moment in 6th position.
Yeah, great job for Bradley Kemp, and it's good to see again, as I say, it's nice to see some new names up in that sort of top position. Nice to see a few people getting in positions that are not normally in, but there's still a long way to go as the pace car comes in and we'll be going back to green. Dave Douglas, the number 10, will be leading away, and of course Dave Douglas has this habit of finishing in the top 10 in most races, so we'll see how he does from here. Back to green flag racing. Will he get a good restart? He drops it, but Joshua Carroll Walden gets a much better restart there. Manages to pull away. Will he be able to cut down in front of Dave Douglas? We'll see. But Bradley Allison is giving Dave Douglas the push that he needs, and that's just making Joshua Carroll Walden fall a bit behind. JCW needs to slot in behind Bradley Allison now so he doesn't lose positions, and that is what he does down in front of Matt Hunter. Aggressive move, but the best move he could make. And now there is Norman Clark on that outside line trying to push along with Bradley Kemp behind him.
Yeah, you can definitely see that the inside line is slightly quicker here. We've seen a little tonight as we do see a cloud forming in 3 and 4.
Yeah, that's going to change the grip levels through 3 and 4 as that... Oh, and there's a big crash behind as Jason Hardigan gets involved in that one. Just having a little look at that one, we saw one of the red cars. Just wondering if that was James... No, that wasn't James Roby. I'm just trying to figure out who that was now. Danny G there getting caught up in that one. Oh, and yeah, it looks like it might have been Norman Clark actually that started all of that off. So just having a little look back, it looks like Norman Clark's just got a little tap from behind from Danny G's teammate in that of Josh Micklemore, and that spun him around and caused an enormous wreck.
Yeah, just that pack racing again. Everyone's going for the spot that isn't there, we'll say.
Well, if you don't go for the spot, you're not racing. That's what they say. But sometimes it is that thing of it's better to finish than not to finish. Because, you know, it's all very well going for these spots, but you've got to finish first. And when you do take that attitude of, you know, going for those positions, it can sometimes pay off poorly because you end up losing spots and losing races because of it. Yeah, of course, it was the great saying of Ayrton Senna, if you no longer go for the gap, then you're no longer a racing driver. But it is a sentiment that many racing drivers don't share because of the fact that it causes so many people to have accidents. As we see Matt Danson coming in for a stop now, as well as Danny G. So a few of these drivers are coming in for a bit of a top-up, some fresh tyres, just to see what they can do. But yeah, there's that thing of, to finish first you've got to finish.
Yes, very much so. And here, like we were talking about Dega and Daytona, any of these super speedway tracks, you don't have to be first on the last lap. You got to just be in that top pack, and then get it done in 3 and 4 if you can, and run it down to the line to win. That's all it takes. We've seen it year in, year out.
That is it, and it is that thing of you can't win a race on the first lap, but you can sure as heck lose one. And that's often the problem is people forget that obviously you do go for gaps and you do want to race for positions, but you've got to get to the finish line first before you can actually get a good result. And again, we've just seen there just that little bit of just slight contact. It wasn't much. It was just a very slight tap at the back of Norman Clark that got him around. And that has really, really affected his race. He's dropped way down the order. He was running very well up in the top 10. He's now down in 18th place. But we have seen in this race people managing to get up those positions. Just talking about somebody that has been climbing back up there is Shea Thompson, currently sitting in 12th place. Did pit for fresh tyres and fuel, of course. And, of course, didn't have to take as much fuel on board because there was less laps to go. So we might see Dave Douglas just starting to have to struggle a little bit at the end for fuel. With these cautions, though, it does help keep the fuel mileage down a bit. So we'll have to wait and see exactly how this plays out. But currently, it's looking good for Bradley Allison and Dave Douglas. In all honesty, I've got to say Bradley Allison is looking like a real strong contender at the moment, as well as Joshua Carroll Walden.
Yeah, Bradley is a great driver. He just hasn't, unfortunately, had the season that he should have had or could have had so far. There's been a few incidents that, to no fault of his own, he's ended up in and has got taken out when he was in a good position.
Yeah, but even saying that, Bradley Allison has had some great finishes, great top 10 finishes. Of course, we also had Matt Allison at the start of the season getting, I think, P2 at Daytona. So, no relation, of course, the two, but Bradley Allison has been getting some really good runs and really making a name for himself as well. So, that's the other thing. Bradley Allison has been sort of driving very clean, very good to race with, and that's an important thing for drivers, is building up the trust. One of the hardest things when you're racing against somebody, especially somebody that's new, is just knowing if they're actually capable of racing. Really, you don't know how well they're going to be able to race. So it's kind of hard in a way. It's a psychological thing almost. But Bradley Allison has shown time after time that he is very good at clean racing, and that's given a lot of drivers a lot of trust over him.
Yeah, it's always hard when you see a new driver or even a new team come into a major series like ANZCAR to wonder how they're going to perform and kind of predict as a driver when you're around them on the track on how they're going to perform. But
Yeah.
Bradley has definitely performed very well, all out there on his own with no teammates at this stage.
Yeah, no teammates, still a privateer, and I imagine a few teams are going to be keeping an eye on Allison, because definitely one to pick up. We saw last year privateer Joshua Carroll Walden, of course, had a fantastic season, and he ended up getting picked up for JP Simshed in their sort of debut year. But just his performance last season was enough to make people go, this guy is needed on our team. He really made a good name for himself, and I'm sure a lot of team owners are going to be looking at Allison going, we could use him in the team.
Yeah, definitely. He brings a lot to the table as a driver.
For sure. And just going through some retirements, it looks like Mirko Dortnack, Lindsay Hobbs, Brian Richmond, Michael Skurlock and Roger Clark are retirements at the moment. Nick Wilson is still in the race, I think, down 5 laps. But it looks like James Roby is also disconnected as well and retired from this race. So a few strong drivers have disappeared, unfortunately. James Roby, definitely one of those drivers that was having a strong race, has disappeared, sadly. But of course, there's always another race. There's always something else to do, and there's always a way to come back. Just looking through the field at Lucky Dog, I think Edward Foster currently is sitting in that Lucky Dog position at the moment. So Foster should be able to get back on the lead lap. Behind him is Jason Martin with Tristan Koch behind, 3 laps behind at the moment. So, sorry, 4 laps down, sorry. So Jason Martin and Edward Foster are the only two that are close on that 1 lap down section. But Foster's going to be pretty happy to be able to get back on the lead lap, I'm sure, because he got taken into a few incidents, unfortunately, that weren't his own fault. He was a bit of a passenger in those crashes.
Yeah, it's always unfortunate when it's not your fault and you get caught up. It can be frustrating at times, or if you have drivers that purposely dump you or wreck you.
It can be very hard indeed, and unfortunately, Edward Foster, his luck tends to be, if he didn't have bad luck, he'd have no luck at all sometimes. It is often the way, jokingly, we do say, because he does sometimes get caught up in those sort of incidents that aren't really his fault, which is, it's very frustrating as a driver when you do have bad luck following you. But it is a thing. It's luck. Sometimes it does change, and we have seen from Foster, he's been very strong through the seasons, and in championship standings, he always manages to keep up there. Much like Dave Douglas, just able to keep up there in those top 10 positions, eat away at the points, and get himself in a good position towards the end of the season.
Yeah. You just gotta, consistency is key in any type of race and any type of points based series.
And especially for oval racing as well, because there are a lot of points on for winning. It's not like Formula One where you get sort of 25 points for victory and it only goes down to P10. There are points all the way down the grid pretty much, and that does make a big difference. And you often see in these sort of series, you can see drivers getting a championship without getting a win or only getting 1 win. I think back to my days at Penske with De Ferran in 2001, ended up getting the championship with a single victory. But just that consistency of finishing in the top 4, top 5 cars all year round really helped out and got him into that position.
Yeah, as we seem to have lost Josh there, or he's disappeared.
Joshua Carroll Walden.
Connection issues there that have dropped him out.
Yes.
The race.
That's a real shame for JCW, who's having a very strong night and was sitting up there. That's a big blow to JP Simshed. A real shame there. And again, it's one of those things that can happen, unfortunately. It is the technical failure of racing online is your internet connection. Much like an engine can blow or a component can break, it is that thing that does add that little bit of frustration, unfortunately.
We know how great the Australian internet is, don't we, Carl?
Yeah, it's a fantastic internet that is amazing and one of the world's best. Cough, cough.
We don't have anyone holding the gun to our head at all.
No, I say that completely of free will. Yes. But yeah, the NBN is not the best internet out there, and luckily they do have some Asia Pacific servers for iRacing, which does make our lives a lot easier for the odd ping levels.
But now you got 5G causing cancer or something they're talking about.
Oh, of course,
There's always something, Carl.
That's it. I'm sure the NBN causes fluoride in the water and turns frogs gay, but we'll get onto that another time as the pace car goes in and Dave Douglas is going to lead us away. Will he get a decent start over Bradley Allison? We'll soon see. And we'll go quiet for this restart. they go through, and it looks like maybe a couple of drivers have actually ended up getting penalties. I saw Josh Micklemore having to drop down, as well as another driver. It looks like Josh Micklemore may have got a
Jason
penalty.
Martin went in through the pits too, I saw.
Yeah, so it looks like a couple of drivers have ended up picking up some penalties. Riley Curtis and Stephen Williams. Stephen Williams is actually getting a service done on the car as well while he's in there. So it looks like a few drivers have ended up getting some penalties, which is a real shame, and that's a big blow to Mitch Motorsport.
Maybe someone had to blink, who knows, with fuel.
Possibly, but why you wouldn't pit under caution, that's the big question. Joshua Carroll-Walden has managed to get back, though. He is a lap down, but he's back on the track. So good news for JCW and the JCW fans out there. So he is back. Nice to see. We have lost Tristan Koch as well in this race, but Dave Douglas currently leads us away with Hamish Gallagher in second, and just behind him is Jason Hartigan. One of the cars that got involved in one of those big incidents earlier on has managed to get back up there, is carrying half of a tyre on his front grille at the moment, but he is back up there in third place.
Yeah, unfortunately that outside line just hasn't got the go at the moment.
No, the outside line definitely looks to be struggling, but Bradley Allison is doing a good job. He's got Matt Hunter behind him, and I think Rob Fletcher there as well. Another driver working their way back up there is Cher Thompson, currently in 7th now, working their way back up there, and of course they're on much fresher tyres than a lot of the drivers around them too.
Yeah, Shea Thompson took those tyres as we saw and all that fuel, so he'll be right till the end now and have that fresh rubber and the confidence to push harder.
Of course, that is one big thing that it does do, is confidence is a huge thing as a driver. You know, you do lack confidence when your tyres are a bit worn, and when you feel the car is a little bit sort of, it doesn't feel quite as good, you do lack a bit of confidence, and it tends to drop you off a little bit more than you would normally expect. What
you would have loved to go up against the wall, sliding all the way up into 1 and 2, as we see JCW go down another lap.
Yeah, JCW
coming out in front of Bradley there for a push.
Just going up there, and do forgive me, my timing and scoring has just gone on to a completely different race, it seems, and is playing up, so I apologise about that. But Dave Douglas is sitting up there in first place, doing a great job.
Yeah, well, we were talking to Dave there, and his strategy seems to have worked out for him so far.
But now that Jason Hardigan has just got a great bit of push there, just had a huge burst of speed there, getting up to 325 kilometers per hour, now just dropping down a little bit, but just a huge burst of speed from nowhere there, just managing to get back in front, and it's going to slot back in front of Douglas now by the looks of it.
I've noticed on that front stretch that the top line do seem to get a big burst of speed. It's just that it hasn't been enough yet for Bradley to be able to come down or make up enough place. As we see the track get a big shadow over it at the moment.
Yeah, that little bit of cool track temperature is definitely going to help out.
All pretty well running 2x2 here at the moment.
Almost like they're ready to get into an arc. As they go 2x2, and we've got Barry Neal out there trying to get a third line working.
Yeah, it's always hard to make people come up and form another line with you. Not many people really want to take that risk.
No, it is a risk that you've sometimes got to invite people to get into. And it can be a bit tricky to get them actually coming along with you, so it sometimes can be a little bit tricky. So
Gambling, but in racing, right?
That's it.
Gamble in racing.
It's a bit of a roll of the dice. Yeah, it is a gamble sometimes, and it does make a, you've got to sometimes take that risk to actually get a good position. But sometimes, of course, with gambling, it doesn't always pay off. So it is one of those things you just got to be careful of. So do forgive me, I've lost all my time in scoring, so I'm just going to be going off with the iRacing hub at the moment. While for some reason that works out, but yeah, currently Jason Hartigan has managed to get back in the lead, and that's not too bad. Dave Douglas is probably not too upset about that, because this is going to help out with fuel levels, and also just give him a little bit of time just sitting behind Hartigan, just getting the car just in his liking, things like that.
Yeah, like we were saying, you don't have to be first until it's right on that line. That's all that matters. That finish line, as long as you're first over that finish line, and then, like Dave was saying earlier, it's a long run down that finish line here at Dagger.
It is indeed. First place only counts when you cross the finish line. Unless it's Formula 1, of course, where you'll often get a penalty afterwards and end up finishing much further down the order. That aside, we got a bit of an incident at the back as Michael Latterer and somebody else get into each other. I didn't quite see who the other person was involved in that one. I think it might have been, just trying to have a look back now, the 54 of Matthew Clewitt. Yeah, Matthew Clewitt and Michael Latterer just got into each other there. Matthew Clewitt did one hell of a save. If we can get a replay of that, that would be great. He managed to get the car back in a straight line almost over 300 kilometers per hour. So brilliant save there from Matthew Clewitt, and we've managed to remain green as well. As yeah, that was one heck of a save there from Clewitt.
Yeah.
That's got to be save of the day, I think, so far. But Jason Hartigan sitting out there in the lead as we go on to lap 83. We're coming up to 10 laps to go, not long now.
I'm sure JP's blood pressure's going through the roof at the moment.
And as we're going along, I'm just going to grab down Mr. Michael Skurlock just to say hello to him. Mick Skurlock, how's it going?
Oh, hello, boys. Well, I'm a bit loud here now.
Yeah, a bit of a shame there. You ended up going a bit turtle, and things went very wrong from there.
Yeah, oh, sorry, I just had to turn my sound down. I didn't realise you saw me message. Yeah, no, it's getting to the exciting bit now.
It is. Everything's getting exciting, and we're seeing some great racing out there. Obviously, with damage off, it's given a few people a bit of extra bravery pill tonight.
Yeah, the problem is, though, like what happened to me, everyone's getting disqualified. So I think there's probably 7 or 8 guys out there now that if they get touched once, they're out. So I know Danson's got 1 incident point left. So he's going to make a move, but he's got to be super careful how he does it, because 1 touch and he's gone, So I think Edward's in the same boat.
Yeah, a few people have got caught out by that, and you got caught out by that one as well. Was it because of the amount of contact you made while you were busy rolling over everybody?
Yeah, well, it was my fault. I mean, I can't blame anybody, because I got stuck on where the track starts rising, this little sharp edge, and the car just got balanced on it and was just spinning the wheels. I couldn't move, and then I had to get bumped because I couldn't move, and then I just got flipped over on my roof like a little turtle, and then had to get bumped again, and unfortunately that was too many incident points and I was gone.
A real shame, because you're having a good run there actually up until the point where, well, until you turned turtle and everything went wrong.
It's an odd thing. I mean, it's a very stressful. Like, racing this is stressful. Like, it might be everybody's got the same speed, blah blah blah, but everybody's really close, and you get claustrophobic. Like, a real claustrophobic feeling, and some people like it. I hate it, and knowing that there's no damage has relaxed a lot of people, and we were actually racing 3 wide for a lot longer than I've ever done it before. So it was good in that way, but not so good when you get disqualified. No.
No, real shame, and it was a shame because you were having a great run up there until that happened, and it was great to see the old polka dot car getting back up there again. And well, it's a bit of a shame for the season, although you have got a bit of a lead in the championship still.
Oh, well, they almost got together. Yeah, yeah. No, I mean, it's all right. It's all fun and games. I'm happy-go-lucky. I just come to have, as long as it's fun, I don't mind. Oh, here we go. Mother out. Very Neal. Oh, he's stuck in the wall. He's pronged in there.
Hey,
That is a
Matt
huge
Danson's
one.
gone.
Oh, and Danson's
One
popped
incident
himself
points.
out.
Yeah, and Barry Neal's absolutely stuck in that wall. He's not getting out the safer barrier there.
No, he got super glued there.
Yeah, that went underneath the wall almost. That was a real big shame. Yeah, just went down, caught Matt Danson, and then just got caught underneath the barrier there. And that has brought out the caution again on lap 87. A real shame there. So what we'll do is we'll say goodbye for you for now, but hopefully we'll catch up with you again next race out, and hopefully we'll catch you towards the end of the race with a win.
Well, I won't be winning this one, that's for sure.
no, definitely
It'd be pretty
not
weird
on
if I
this
come
one.
back in for this one for a win, but
Oh look, if you can get back in and win this one, I'll buy you a lot of beer.
well, the rules have been mixed up a lot tonight, so maybe
Who knows?
maybe I can protest my way in or something.
We'll soon see.
Before you go there, Scroller.
Yeah,
Sorry
Johnny.
for butting in. Did we see a new sponsor on the front of the car there tonight?
No, it's not a sponsor. It's a new team, Relentless Esports. Just started up. It's mainly dirt team, to be honest. There's a lot of really good dirt drivers in there, and yeah, it's just like sort of a casual fun thing at the moment. But we'll see how things go from there.
That's great to see after the illusion falling apart that you've been able to find somewhere new to go, and anyone would be glad and very lucky to have you on their team.
I appreciate that, mate. Yeah, I mean, some of the core group, we're all good friends, so I didn't really want to just spread out and abandon each other. So we're all at the same place at the moment, and then yeah, see how we go from there. So, yeah, thanks, guys.
No worries. Cheers for joining us, Mick, and hopefully we'll see you at Dover, and hopefully it will be up in the top 3.
Yeah, well, I'll be back in a little bit for the win, mate. So I'll see you then.
Catch you later.
See you guys.
Mick Scarlock there. So thanks for Mick coming down. Yeah, that was a race destroying incident there. But that caught out a few people, and as you say, that's taken out a few drivers as well, because that has dropped a few drivers into the DQ. Most noticeably Matt Danson, but we also lost Matt Hunter as well. Also, we are on time now, so this is going to be a green-white checker. So we're going to have a hybrid racing solutions green-white checker for this one.
Yeah. Sorry for butting in there, Carl. I just
No.
had to ask that question. I saw it on the front of his car during the race, so thought, why not?
You're here to talk, so there is no apologies needed. You're always welcome. So yeah, we've got a green-white checker situation here, and it's looking good for Jason Hartigan, you must say. But Dave Douglas is going to be pretty hungry about this. Our producer maybe giving birth to a couple of kittens at the moment and telling us not to say anything about the car. So it's looking good for Dave Douglas. Dave Douglas has definitely got this one in the bag. But Hamish Gallagher as well, Bradley Allison, all of those guys are looking good for the positions. So it's going to be a big race now for those guys. Top 10, we've got Mark Johansson that's made it up into the top 10 as well. Good debut race for Johansson there. Phil Otto's is also having a much better race than he had last time. It's nice to see Otto back in the top 10 as well. Cher Thompson as well in P8. Great position for them. Dave Douglas starting 30th, getting up to second, and Hamish Gallagher 29th and third. Great drives for them too. But we have lost Matt Hunter as well, which is a real shame because he was up there in that sort of top 10 position. It looks like Matt Hunter had a connection failure. So again, a real shame for Hunter because he was in a really good position.
Do we want to have a gamble?
No, because we will get fired by a producer. So if there are new voices next time out at Dover, then you know what happened. But the car is going to come around, so it's going to be a green-white checker. Hybrid Racing Solutions white flag lap will come out shortly. But this has been one heck of a race. It's been a very different race, of course, because without any damage, it's made things very, very topsy-turvy. It's been an incredibly different race for us to call. Of course, we'll have damage back next time out. It was a mistake, unfortunately, for this one, but not a totally unwelcome mistake, in all honesty, because it has made the race very interesting and very very different. It's given us some very different types of driving out there tonight.
Yeah, it definitely brought through some really great drivers like Bradley Ellison. Got to be careful. And other drivers like Rob Fletcher, Kemp, and all those drivers, that we don't see up here that often.
It's given a chance for some of those drivers to get up into a position where they normally wouldn't be. So it's been a great job for them. As Michael Scarlett was saying, Edward Foster's just sitting there in 15th place at the moment, and he's got to be careful because he's sort of to his limit, unfortunately, due to that big accident. So he's just going to be sitting back there. He's a lap down. I think he'll get I think he's going to get the lucky dog. So he'll get back onto the lead lap, but we'll have to see what happens from here. But this is going to be a bit of a race to the end now, as we come to the green-white checker. It's going to be a very tense race, and you've still got Danny G up there in the top 10. He's sitting there ready to go. He's got some serious speed in him, so it's anybody's race to win, and well, it's been a very different Talladega for sure.
Yeah, it's been interesting. It's been interesting for us to call, and hopefully we've kept it good up here for all our viewers.
Yeah, I do hope everybody's enjoyed the commentary tonight. It's been, as I say, it's a very different race to call because we're not used to that sort of. We're not used to not having damage, for instance. It's a very different thing for us because normally at Talladega at this stage of the race, you've got a couple of cars running around on free wheels, and a driver sitting in his window trying to keep the car balanced. But it has really made a difference to this race and changed things up. It would be nice to have everything back to normal though for Dover next time out, but it has really changed things up and made an interesting race a little bit more interesting, I guess. But unfortunately, it has taken a few drivers out of the race that we normally would have seen a little bit further up there, which has been a real shame. It is a shame to see some of those drivers get out and get taken out because of incident points. Just Matt Hunter has managed to get back. He's currently in 22nd place, unfortunately, so he has lost a lot of positions. A real shame for Matthew Hunter because he had a fantastic drive and a well-earned top 10 place he was looking good for.
Yeah, he was looking good up the front there. And we don't see him up there that often, which is, like we was talking about, these races, this unfortunate incident with no damage just brought some fortunate for other people.
It has really helped some people out for sure, and well, it's definitely helped a few people out who were involved in incidents. Just look at Jason Hartigan. He had a couple of times, he'd been in a couple of incidents, unfortunately, but he's managed to keep the car going, and he's got no damage, of course, so that's kept him in the race. Otherwise, he would have been out long ago. So they're starting to form up now, 2 by 2. The pace car's going to come in. It's going to be the green-white checker. It's the Hybrid Racing Solutions white flag lap after this one. So we're going to get one lap of green, one lap of white, and that's the end of the race. So here we go. It's all or nothing now. Anybody could take this. It's anybody's race to win. Who's going to take out Dega?
As we hear the hands get rubbed in the background.
Didn't know if you could hear that or not. Getting ready for this. So as they get ready, Hardigan's going to get ready to drop the boot. As Dave Douglas is sitting out there, he's looking pretty racy as well. Who's going to get the best restart? We're soon going to find out.
Dave has got it, and Bradley Ellison jumped down in front of Jason as well. Jason kind of just didn't get the start there.
And there's a
was
huge
needed.
crash at the back. A huge incident at the back as Edward Foster is rolling again. And Dave Douglas has managed to get into the lead, but Bradley Allison's sitting out there. We've managed to keep green. Jason Hartigan's just sitting on the outside of Dave Douglas. He needs somebody to push him. He needs somebody to help him out here, because otherwise he's not going to be able to get there. Dave Douglas is looking good though. He's got the position at the moment. Will he keep it? Is he going to be able to keep that? He's got Bradley Allison underneath pushing him, giving him that little bit of helping hand.
Jason's just searching for someone to try give him a push at the moment.
He
So
desperately needs
ends
that
up Too
push.
far back.
And
a huge wreck.
Huge wreck there as they were trying to get that, and Jason Hardigan's got involved in that. Bradley Allison has managed to make it through, but it looks like that's going to be Dave Douglas getting the win here, because it doesn't look like anybody else is going to be able to get this one. As Dave Douglas carries on around.
Who's going to get third now is the question.
Well, I think
Hamish Gallagher by the looks of it.
yeah, it sounds like the drivers have dropped off the pace. The engines aren't revving as quite as hard, but it looks like Gallagher might be there. I've got no timing and scoring, unfortunately. But Dave Douglas has done it. Bradley Allison has it. Wait, gotta try and work out who's won this now. It's a bit confusing.
Dave.
I've got Dave Douglas as the winner, and he's doing the celebratory, trying to blow the engine and over revving it. But it looks like Dave Douglas has got that win. Bradley Allison's got second. Jason Hardigan third on my screen. So while we try and figure that out, but it looks like Dave Douglas has got the win.
Yeah, I think that actually ended up going time certain there. That's why all the drivers slowed down. Right.
Yeah, I think it just cut out. So Dave Douglas ended up getting that win, and I think just confused our timing screens a little bit. A very, very confusing race at the end there. Yeah, so unfortunately our SDK system doesn't recognise the green and white checker, so we'll go through the finishing order as it stands, provisional finishing order as it stands. So Dave Douglas takes out the victory, Bradley Allison second, Jason Hardigan managed to get third place in the end, despite that huge crash. Rob Fletcher in fourth, great finish for Rob Fletcher. Hamish Gallagher fifth, with Shay Thompson a brilliant position in sixth. Phil Otto 7th, with Danny G in 8th. 9th was Bradley Kempf, with Matthew Cluett in 10th. I'll let you take over from here, Jono. I've got Jono there. No, I'll carry on. So Mark Johansson manages to get P11. P12 was Steve Black. Riley Curtis in 13th, with Norman Clark 14th. 15th was Barry Neal, 16th Edward Foster, 17th Josh Micklemore, Joshua Garwalden 18th, 19th was Matt Hunter, managed to get a few positions at the end. Jason Martin 20th, Stephen Williams 21st, 22nd was Michael Latterer, with Matt Danson finishing 23rd, Danny Stevens 24th, with Tristan Koch 25th, 26th was Raymond Yeager, James Roby in 27th, 28th was Mick Wilson, with Mirko Dortnack 29th, 30th was Lindsay Hobbs, Brian Richmond 31st, Michael Skurlock ended 32nd, and Roger Clark 33rd. But Dave Douglas gets the win. So what we'll do is grab him back up to the booth to say hello to Mr. Dave Douglas. Number 10, Dave Douglas. Welcome back to the booth.
Yoo!
I
What's going on, boys?
didn't know if we'd be talking to you so soon after that. Seems like
Hey.
a good luck charm.
there you go.
Congratulations on the win.
Yeah, cheers, boys. How good was that? I told you I was going to get the W.
You did, and you absolutely proved it right. Your streak on these super speedways continues. You just seem to have that bit of luck and that bit of skill just to get there. A bit of confusion at the end. The race ended up going time certain, didn't it?
It did,
So
yes.
So I think a few people were a little bit confused. We did end up having a bit of a crash across the line as well at the end. But from 30th to 1st, that is one heck of a drive.
It's not too bad of a drive for a Thursday night. I told you I'd just dust the cobwebs off her, mate, and get her out of here for a win.
Well, it's about time, you know. It's just your first or second win this season.
Oh, probably my first, I think. Yeah, it's my first this season.
Yeah, because we've had you up in the booth a couple of times for a few top 3 finishes, but being in P1 that's going to help you enormously, and it's great to see. And as I said, Dega seems to be one of those tracks that really likes you.
Yeah, I'll always get out of bed for Talladega and Talladega and Daytona. Like I said, before ANZCAR, this is all I used to do was run restrictor plates. So yeah, it works. It works for me. Whatever I do works. I can predict what's going to happen. Nostradamus, mate.
Look, there is no question in that because you called it perfectly, and it did work out perfectly for you in the end there. Other than just experience running it, was there any other sort of tips you can give for tonight's drive?
Tips. The yellow line's your friend. I'll give you that tip. Don't tell anyone though, all right?
All right, we won't let that one slip. We'll keep it between ourselves up here. But congratulations! It's great to have you up in the booth again, especially for a win. It's been a while, but yeah, congratulations. How are you feeling for Dover next time out?
Dover, might not get out of bed for that one. I don't know if I'll make that one. We've just got to see if we've got the budget to get the car there, boys. As you see, there's no sponsors on the side of the car, mate. So, well, we'll see if we can get there or not. We'll wait and see.
Well, hopefully this is going to help with that because obviously, a win is always good for sponsors. They tend to like that. They tend to enjoy seeing you out there. So hopefully this will help a few teams and a few sponsors notice you and pick you up for the future. But before I let you go, obviously no sponsors or teams to thank tonight for your side. But anyone else you'd like to give a shout out to?
Yeah, I'll give a shout out to my good mate Bree. This one's for you, Bree. I told you I was going to get the win tonight, and I did that for you. But just thanks to myself, thanks to my spotter Matthew Danton, and the boys in the green room, and especially for Bradley Ellison there. He was on board with that whole restart, and yeah, he nailed it. So thanks to him, mate. We got it done.
Thanks, Dave. Great work, and I'm sure we'll see you in the booth again before the end of the season.
Cheers, boys.
Cheers, mate. Number 10 there, Dave Douglas.
Yeah, wasn't it?
It was. He predicted it and he got it. And I'll track down Bradley Allison next, and I'll leave this one to you, Jono.
Okay. Hey, Bradley, Jonathan from JP Sim Shed. How you going?
I'm going all right, mate. How are you?
I'm doing all right. Great drive out there tonight, getting P2. How do you feel about that?
Probably a bit lucky to get back up there after a bit of a pit road speeding incident. So got sent to the back of the field and had to work the way back up.
Yeah, I saw that halfway through the live stream there. You kind of got pushed back end of line. Just come in too hot, did you?
I must have. I may have even been speeding going out. So I think it was actually going out. I was trying to beat a position out. So anyway, 4th to 24th and got back up there. So happy with the result for sure.
Yeah, very happy with it being your rookie year. It's a big task to get even a top 10 finish in ANZCAR, so to get a second, congratulations. And is there anything you'd like to add or anyone you'd like to thank?
Barbecues galore for the sponsorship, of course, but I'll get that win eventually if I just keep plugging away. Thanks for the commentary and the telecast. It's good.
That's all good, Brad. Have a good night and soak it up, mate.
Thank you. Cheers.
Thanks, Brad. I'm sure we'll see you up in the booth sometimes later this season. You're definitely keeping up the good performances this year.
Yeah, well, I'm not dead yet, so it's always time.
Well, cheers, Bradley. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Bradley Allison there, P2. And last of all, we'll jar about Jason Hartigan. P3 in the end, despite, despite, I think, numerous times being upside down, nearly upside down, or involved in a major crash. So, yeah. Jason Hartigan, Carl Withy here, JP Simshed for the Abruzzi ANZCAR Cup. How are you going?
Good, mate. Good. I'm happy with that result, but unhappy that it wasn't a win. But yeah, it was good. It was a good race
Well,
today.
I am sure that win is going to come for you sometime soon. You're getting closer and closer each race in the cup, and of course, you got the win in the trucks. Was it this weekend, or was it the Xfinity?
I've got 3 wins so far this season in the Xfinity series.
That's right. Yep. So it's only a matter of time before we get you up there in the cup. You've been having some great drives, and you've definitely got the speed. Starting off in pole was obviously quite good. Obviously, a bit of a different race with no damage on, and that definitely seemed to help you out tonight a little bit.
Yeah, I did. I got caught up in a couple of wrecks out there, so not having any damage definitely allowed me to crawl my way back up. But yeah, it was a good race. It was pretty tight, but I was actually at the end. The race actually went time certain, but I think because we're under green white checker, it just decided to play that out. So
Yeah, it was a little bit of a uncertain finish there. Things didn't go so well, but things played out in the end. You managed to get the P3, which is just great for you. And again, great for you for the team JP Simshed. Again, being a rookie, sort of, well, you had a couple of races last year, but sort of being in that sort of your first proper season in the series, and especially with a new team, it is working out quite well for you.
yeah, it is, and yeah, all the boys are very supportive and keep pushing me, and I think I'm pushing them as well. So we're going well, so it's good.
Look, it is only a matter of time before you get up there on the top step of the podium. I can see it happening soon. Before I let you go, anyone you'd like to give a shout out to tonight?
Yeah, we'll give a shout out to all our sponsors: Drive Sim, Goodyear Auto Care, Abruzzi Racewear, Jinx Shifters, and yeah, all the shout outs to all the JPSS lads, for helping us week in week out. Yeah.
No worries. Look, thank you so much. And look, I'm sure we'll see you up in the booth again before the season's out. Dover next week, so a bit of a different track to the Super Speedway. How are you feeling for that one?
Yeah, I'm pretty confident. I think I won the Xfinity race there earlier in the year, so hopefully it's a bit of a practice for next week. So yeah, I hope so. Hope it goes well.
Well, fingers crossed we'll have you back up in the booth next week.
All right, buddy. Thank you.
Thanks, Jason. Jason Hardigan there for JP Simshed and getting P3. So that was a very chaotic race in the end, wasn't it, Jono?
Yeah, it was very interesting, especially not knowing what happened on those last laps there, but that's the iRacing system, I guess, sometimes for you.
Yeah, it was a little bit higgledy-piggledy, and we do apologise about that for the broadcast. As we said, it was unfortunately the damage system was a bit of a mistake tonight. So usually damage is fully on, but we appreciate everybody that joined watching us, and thank you to everybody that has subscribed to us and watching us now, and of course on the replays, things like that. Before you go, anything you'd like to add, Jono?
Not really, just a thank you to, like you said, all the new watchers and subscribers and all of our sponsors here at the JP Simshed channel and on the ANZCAR side of things.
Yeah, absolutely, and a big thank you to all the sponsors and all the new joiners. So, from myself, Carl Withy, from Jonathan Hancock, and from JP himself up in the booth doing the cameras, we wish you a good night, and we will see you next time out at Dover. Bye bye.